Chapter 1710. On the ground, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon had already cleaned up the carriage. Next, the two of them were about to leave. However, at that moment, Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat, as if he had a strange feeling. It was a strange feeling. So Lin Xian activated his heavenly secret divine eye and looked around. His eyes emitted a faint golden light, and he soon discovered that there were several auras underground. Those auras were very powerful, like true dragons in hibernation. One of them was even stronger than the Northwest Ghost duo from before. There are still people here. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He did not expect that an ordinary forest would hide so many experts. However, from the looks of it, they did not seem to be coming for him. Could there be something underground? Lin Xian was curious and wanted to investigate more carefully. Underground, Tuoba Yulong and the other two worked together again, preparing to explore the ancient ruins below. However, at that moment, the middle-aged man's face darkened, and he snorted coldly. Tuoba Yulong and the other two also stopped what they were doing and frowned, because someone was spying on them. They had set up a large formation to conceal the heavenly secret, so ordinary people would not discover their existence at all. However, there was still someone who could spy on them. It was truly shocking. It's that damned Lin Xian. He actually discovered this place. Tuoba Yulong's expression was ugly. That brat also cultivated a mysterious eye technique. He did not expect that he would be able to see this place. The middle-aged man snorted coldly, and a trace of killing intent appeared in his eyes. Since he has discovered us, we can't let him live. The three of you please continue searching here. I'll go take care of that brat. With that, his figure flickered, and he disappeared underground. Outside, Lin Xian activated his heavenly secret divine eye and naturally passed through the concealment formation. He discovered that there seemed to be an incredible treasure below. However, before he could take a closer look, the void suddenly split open, and then an enormous and cold killing intent instantly surged out. Sensing this aura, Lin Xian immediately stopped activating his heavenly secret divine eye, and the golden light in his eyes instantly disappeared. He could not let others know that he had the heavenly secret divine eye, or the entire world would probably hunt him down crazily. The void in front of him split open, and a figure walked out from it. It was a middle-aged man with a chiseled face and black hair that danced wildly in the wind. He was wearing a blue lightning robe that fit his body perfectly. At this moment, there were thunderous sounds in the air. They were from the 10,000 Thunder sect. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect to meet another enemy here. However, what made him even more curious was, what were the people of the 10,000 Thunder sect doing underground? Could it be that he had really found some treasure? You're that Lin Xian? The middle-aged man said coldly. His gaze was as sharp as a blade. Lin Xian didn't answer. Instead, he asked, You're also here to capture me. Capture you? The middle-aged man sneered. There's no need for that. Even if there is a secret of the Tianji clan, it should be in the hands of Mo Tianqi. You're just a small disciple of the Pill sect. It's impossible for you to know any secrets. He was only lucky to be able to escape from the Yaoguang Holy Land. Then why are you still here? Lin Xian frowned. He didn't expect that the middle-aged man wasn't here to capture him. Because you saw something you shouldn't have seen. We have to get you out. The middle-aged man was very direct. He didn't hide his killing intent at all. Something I shouldn't have seen? Lin Xian smiled. It seems that there is indeed a treasure below. A treasure that can make the 10,000 Thunder sect care. So much must be a shocking treasure. Maybe it's an ancient ruin. You're smart, but smart people don't live long. The middle-aged man heard this, and the killing intent in his eyes became sharper. Since the other party had guessed it, he couldn't let him live. Lin Xian's figure flashed. He used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps and flew into the distance. At the same time, he sent a voice transmission to the dark red dragon and the little white monkey, asking them to sneak into the ground to find out what kind of treasure it was. When the dark red dragon and the little white monkey received the voice transmission, they sneaked into the void and disappeared. When the middle-aged man saw Lin Xian fleeing into the distance, a cold smile appeared on his face. He didn't want to make a move here, because he was afraid that he would destroy the ancient ruin below. Since Lin Xian wanted to escape into the distance, it was the best choice for him. Therefore, he flashed and followed Lin Xian unhurriedly. After flying for a while, Lin Xian came to a stop. The middle-aged man behind him also stopped and looked at Lin Xian coldly. At this distance, I shouldn't be able to destroy the treasures underground, right? Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. You're really concerned about a lot. I think you should worry about your own life first. The middle-aged man sneered. Lin Xian was still thinking about the treasure below. It seemed like he didn't know how to spell the word death. Then, a terrifying aura exploded from the middle-aged man. Like a wave, it swept in all directions. His eyes were like rainbows as he stared at Lin Xian. Countless lightning bolts spread in the surrounding void, and instantly turned into a boundless sea of lightning. It was terrifying as it surged and roared. Crackle, crackle! Huge divine lightning bolts fell from the sky and struck Lin Xian, as if they were going to kill him. Lin Xian snorted and punched out. The black shadow of the fist was like a raging dragon. It rushed into the sky and tore the thunderclouds apart. You want to kill me? I'm afraid you don't have the ability. The destructive aura on his body exploded in an instant. Even the sea of lightning around him dimmed a little. Not bad. The middle-aged man squinted his eyes and sneered. Then he quickly formed a seal with his palms. Thunderbird. Suddenly, the thunderclouds in the sky rolled and turned into countless strange blue birds. They were surrounded by lightning and were as sharp as knives as they rushed down quickly. The entire sky was overturned in an instant as the powerful aura of lightning pierced through the void. In an instant, Lin Xian was surrounded. Lin Xian waved his fist and used the Armageddon Black Dragon Fist. The fist technique was monstrous. Every strike exploded a group of thunderbirds. Terrifying waves of air rolled in the sky, and the area within 1,000 miles collapsed quickly. Thunderclap ninth heaven. The middle-aged man frowned. He didn't expect the other party's fist technique to be so violent that it could destroy his army of thunderbirds in an instant. But in the next moment, he raised his hands and struck out with both palms. Suddenly, the lightning in the sky surged and turned into a wave that rushed forward. There were a total of 9 layers in total. The Thunderclap Ninth Heaven was a very terrifying martial art of the Myriad Thunder sect. At this moment, it was used by the middle-aged man, and was even more violent. Waving both palms, 9 huge waves of lightning were formed. Each of them was terrifying. Chapter 17:11. What was even more terrifying was that this move had a total of 9 strikes, and each strike was stronger than the previous one. It was as if these lightning seas could be superimposed. When it reached the 9th strike, the power was absolutely terrifying. It was unimaginable, and no one could resist it. This middle-aged man used such a terrifying killing move on Lin Xian from the beginning. It was very obvious that the killing intent in his heart had already been extinguished. Lin Xian's expression was also solemn. The other party's strength was really too powerful, even far surpassing the Northwest Twin Ghosts from before. Facing the incomparably violent Thunderclap Ninth Heaven, Lin Xian did not dare to be careless. In the next moment he roared, and the aura in his body suddenly erupted. A black aura of destruction enveloped. Annihilation Black Dragon Fist. Waving both fists, terrifying fist shadows were densely packed, similarly forming a black sea wave, carrying a destructive aura as it charged forward. Although the other party's Thunderclap Ninth Heaven was terrifying, his Annihilation Black Dragon Fist was also incomparably terrifying. At this moment, combined with the power of the Great Dragon Sword Soul, it was even more astonishing. In the next moment, the boundless black sea wave collided with the lightning sea that filled the sky, causing an intense collision. The void quickly collapsed, and one black hole after another appeared. Very soon, the first layer of lightning sea wave was quickly shattered under the power of the black fist shadows. Following that, the second layer of lightning sea wave quickly rushed over, and the black fist shadows that filled the sky also dimmed quite a bit. However, it still carried a shocking destructive power. In the end, the black fist shadows that filled the sky collided with the second type of lightning power, and finally disappeared in the air at the same time. However, the third bolt of lightning was still heading straight for Lin Xian. Thunderclap Ninth Heaven. Each layer was stronger than the previous. The The third layer was incomparably terrifying, and its power was even more terrifying than the first two layers combined. Lin Xian, on the other hand, quickly swung his fist and delivered a killing blow. Thunderclap Dragon. The dragon shadow roared and lightning surrounded it. A huge black dragon shadow quickly rushed out, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws, charging forward. Very soon, the third, fourth, and fifth layers of lightning were shattered under this Thunderclap Dragon. The Thunderclap Dragon also roared and directly exploded with a loud bang. You'll see how many layers you can block. Seeing that the first 5 layers of lightning had been destroyed, the middle-aged man's expression turned cold. However, he wasn't too worried, because he was very confident in his Thunderclap Ninth Heaven. Furthermore, the power of lightning after the 5th level was even more terrifying. Every single one of his attacks was capable of killing a 6-star king. Therefore, in his opinion, the other party would definitely not be able to block it. Lin Xian also snorted coldly, his expression extremely solemn. Indeed, the other party's Thunderclap Ninth Heaven was extremely terrifying. Up until now, he had only broken through the first 5 stages. At this moment, Huang Xiaolong pushed his great dragon sword soul and destructive aura to their limits as he punched out with both fists. Furious Dragon rips the heavens. A pair of black dragon claws appeared in the sky like 2 black mountains. With a forceful tear, a black crack appeared in the entire space. The black crack extended rapidly towards the 6th layer of the Thunder Sea. Crack crack. Boom. The void once again fell into chaos, and the 6th lightning sea was instantly torn in half. Immediately after, the 7th layer also quickly turned into ashes. However, at this moment, the 2 black dragon claws also became dim. They were pierced by countless lightning bolts and were covered in wounds. Rumble. The 8th lightning sea was extremely terrifying. With just one attack, it directly shattered the 2 black dragon claws. At this moment, the middle-aged man's expression had already turned cold. This was because he didn't expect the other party to actually have such strength to be able to destroy his 7th lightning sea. One had to know that ordinary 6-star kings couldn't do this. On the opposite side, Lin Xian's expression was also solemn. He didn't expect that his 2 ultimate attacks still couldn't break the other party's Thunderclap Ninth Heaven. One had to admit that it was indeed shocking. However, at the next moment, Lin Xian waved his fist again and struck out the 3rd killing move of the Armageddon Black Dragon Fist. Layers of dragon shadows. A deep dragon roar sounded from Lin Xian's body. Immediately after, countless black rays of light soared and turned into black dragons in the sky, roaring non-stop. This scene was too shocking. For a moment, the sky was completely filled with countless dragon shadows, and a terrifying aura suppressed the surroundings. Boom boom boom. In the next moment, these dragon shadows that filled the sky collided with the last 2 lightning bolts, resulting in a shocking explosion. The area within a radius of 10,000 miles was instantly enveloped, and countless mountains were directly turned into powder. Large swathes of the earth collapsed, and countless cracks appeared on the ground. This collision was too terrifying, as if it was destroying the world. Damn it! How is this possible? It's actually all shattered. Seeing this, the middle-aged man's expression was abnormally gloomy. He didn't expect that his ultimate move, the Thunderclap Ninth Heaven, would actually be destroyed by the other party. He couldn't believe it. At the next moment, his expression was cold as he let out a long roar. Under his feet, mysterious lightning runes appeared and quickly spread in all directions. He raised his hands high and clenched his fists. Immediately, the clouds in the sky rolled, and 6 huge lightning bolts descended like heavenly pillars. In an instant the space was sealed, and Lin Xian was also enveloped within. Flying Thunder God formation. The middle-aged man's expression was cold as he roared. Immediately, the 6 huge lightning pillars bloomed, and the lightning surged, turning into shocking energy that surged toward Lin Xian. For a moment, the countless black dragon figures around Lin Xian were penetrated by these lightning bolts. Not only that, these lightning bolts didn't stop, and were still flying quickly toward Lin Xian. In an instant they enveloped him. At the next moment, countless energy exploded, completely drowning that place. It's over. Seeing that he had really hit the other party this time, the middle-aged man from the 10,000 Thunder sect in the distance revealed a sinister smile. However, at the next moment his smile froze, and even his expression became very unsightly. Because in front of him, in the boundless sea of lightning, a green light lit up and directly pierced through the sea of clouds. After that, countless green sword lights soared into the sky and pierced through the clouds. At the next moment, the surrounding lightning was ruthlessly cut open. Boom! Lin Xian's figure appeared again, and around him a green domain shone. He's not dead. In the distance, the middle-aged man's expression was cold. He didn't expect the other party to have such strength. Good boy. It seems that I've really underestimated you. But do you think you're safe like this? The middle-aged man snorted, and a light lit up under his feet. Then, he cooperated with the 6 heavenly lightning bolts in front of him. Immediately, a terrifying lightning domain was formed, completely enveloping Lin Xian and the dragon sword domain. Boy, in my lightning domain, you have no way to survive. Is that so? You can try. Lin Xian snorted unmoved. The middle-aged man sneered. You don't have to provoke me. Although you're very strong, you're still no match for me. If you're given a few more decades, you might really be able to surpass me. Chapter 17:12. The middle-aged man was very confident. With a wave of his hand, the 6 heavenly lightning pillars in the Thunder Sea domain began to spin rapidly. On top of it, mysterious lightning runes appeared, emitting a terrifying aura. The horrifying power of thunder and lightning transformed into numerous thunder blades that slashed towards Lin Xian at high speed. These lightning blades were abnormally sharp and could easily cut through the void. This was a great divine ability that could communicate with the power of lightning from the 9 heavens and use it for oneself. It was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian snorted coldly and activated the dragon sword spiritual domain. Immediately, countless sharp sword chi soared into the sky and swept in all directions. It collided with the lightning blades that filled the sky. Boom! Boom! Although those lightning blades were terrifying, they were unable to resist Lin Xian's sword chi. In an instant, a large number of lightning blades were cut in half. However, this was a great divine ability after all. Therefore, even though many lightning blades were cut in half, more lightning blades appeared from the 6 heavenly lightning pillars and attacked Lin Xian. It was endless, as if there was no limit. It's useless. No matter how sharp your sword chi is, so what? My thunder blade is limitless. It will only disappear when I kill you. The middle-aged man sneered as a cold light bloomed in his eyes. The lightning that filled the sky turned into a sharp rainbow and quickly slashed forward. Lin Xian, on the other hand, activated the dragon sword domain to resist. Do you really think you can kill me? Lin Xian snorted coldly. Brat, stop struggling. It's useless. Originally, I didn't want to kill you. However, you saw a secret that you didn't dare to see. Naturally, I can only silence you. The middle-aged man sneered. Lin Xian also let out a long roar. The sword chi on his body was resplendent and suddenly erupted. A sharp aura swept out in all directions. All the surrounding lightning blades were blown away. You're too arrogant. Today, I'll let you experience my true strength. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The surrounding dragon sword realm's aura continued to rise as if there was no limit. It emitted a terrifying aura. In the next moment his figure swayed, and his entire person was like a sword light, instantly dashing into the distance. Wherever he passed, countless lightning blades were completely shattered. Nothing could stop Lin Xian's advance. In an instant, he arrived in front of the middle-aged man. What? Seeing this, the middle-aged man turned pale with fright. He didn't expect that the other party could actually increase his combat strength. This was simply too inconceivable. The other party was just a puny 3-star king. Even if he was a genius, he would still be able to fight someone with a higher cultivation level. But after fighting for so long, he probably didn't have much strength left, right? However, the other party was actually able to increase his aura, and even kill his way to the front. It had to be said that it was indeed shocking. Damn it, what kind of secret does this brat have? He did not believe that an ordinary 3-star king could be so terrifying. But now there was no time for him to think about it. because a sharp sword chi was slashing towards him at high speed. The sea of lightning around him was also instantly cut apart, creating a vacuum. Humph! With a cold snort, the middle-aged man waved his sleeve, and a thunder drum quickly appeared before him. The drum grew bigger, and turned into a wall of lightning. Boom! 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 The sharp sword chi collided with the thunder drum, emitting a shocking collision sound. Terrifying sound waves and sword chi rushed out in all directions, piercing through the void. This thunder drum was an earth-rank treasure, and was incomparably powerful. Therefore, the sword chi naturally did not cut it apart. However, that powerful force still made the middle-aged man continuously retreat, and a trace of blood even appeared at the corner of his mouth. It was obvious that Lin Xian's sharp sword aura had injured him. Lin Xian was greatly surprised when he saw that this sword chi actually did not cut apart the thunder drum. However, he also knew how terrifying an earth-rank treasure was. It would probably be very difficult for him to shatter it. However, if the other party wanted to rely on an earth-rank treasure to block his attack, that was a fool's dream. I'll let you know the consequences of chasing after me. Lin Xian shouted coldly, pulled out the nine-hell demon sword and attacked again. With a slash of the sword, the black sword light was extremely sharp. Fusing the power of the nine-hell demon sword and the dragon sword domain, it was terrifying to the extreme. The void was sliced apart in an instant. The surrounding lightning sea was even annihilated by these sword chi. This was like a sword of death. Everywhere it passed, nothing could block it. In front of my myriad thunder drum, you can't stir up any waves at all. Ahead, the middle-aged man's expression was ice-cold. He revolved his power, controlling the myriad thunder drum in front of him. This myriad thunder drum was also a treasure. On top of it were lines of lightning patterns, incomparably mysterious. At this moment, it was akin to a lightning mountain blocking in front of the middle-aged man, carrying out defense. Bang! Bang! Boom! The sword chi slashed down, colliding with the myriad thunder drum, emitting an earth-shaking collision once again. But this time, the myriad thunder drum produced a change. That drum's surface trembled non-stop, forming a rebounding force, even bouncing back quite a bit of sword chi. Brat, have a taste of your own sword chi. The middle-aged man laughed coldly, and continued to control the myriad thunder drum, emitting a powerful aura. Lin Xian was also extremely surprised. He did not expect that this myriad thunder drum actually had the power to rebound. Facing the incoming sword chi, his figure swayed, and he executed the heavenly dragon's 8 steps. His entire body turned into a stream of light, instantly dodging the sword chi that filled the sky. Seeing that Lin Xian was not injured, the middle-aged man was extremely shocked. Because the other party's speed was too fast, so fast that it made him extremely shocked. Damn it, who is this brat? How can he be so strong? He was simply too shocked. Because the other party's combat strength had exceeded his expectations. Such a person definitely could not be just a small alchemy sect disciple. No, he could not let the other party live anymore. Otherwise, in a few decades, he would be an extremely terrifying existence. The middle-aged man's eyes were filled with killing intent. He decided that he had to get rid of Lin Xian today. He could not allow a tiger to grow into a calamity. Brat, I have to say that you are indeed a genius. But it is precisely because of this that I have to kill you. The middle-aged man's expression was ice-cold. Then, he clasped his hands together. Immediately, the 6 light pillars in the distance quickly gathered towards Lin Xian. The 6 lightning pillars continuously compressed space, causing the range that Lin Xian could move to become smaller and smaller. This was a measure of the middle-aged man's. Because he knew that the other party's speed was fast, he might not be able to hit him even if he used his ultimate move. That was why he compressed space, making it impossible for the other party to escape. The 6 lightning pillars, together with his lightning domain, formed an extremely terrifying space of pressure. The other party could only break it with a powerful force. Otherwise, there was no way for him to escape. However, with such terrifying energy, even the middle-aged man himself might not be able to break it, let alone the other party. Therefore, in his opinion, this time Lin Xian was dead for sure. Lin Xian's nerves were also tense. He did not expect that the middle-aged man could actually suppress his speed. He had to admit that this was indeed a powerful opponent. Chapter 17:13. However, it was indeed impossible to trap him. Moreover, he did not intend to waste any more of his energy with the other party, because he was worried that a stronger martial artist would appear at any time. After all, the treasure below seemed to be no small matter. Therefore, in the next moment, a dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared in the dragon sword territory. The dragon-headed sword body was extremely simple and unadorned. It emitted a sharp aura that could destroy everything. As soon as the dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared, the middle-aged man opposite him felt his hair stand on end. He felt a great sense of danger, as if it could threaten his life. Damn it, what is that? The middle-aged man looked into the distance in horror. He did not expect the other party to have the ability to kill him. In the next moment, Lin Xian grasped the dragon-shaped sword shadow. Suddenly, a surging sharp aura erupted from his body and swept all around. A huge sword shadow circled around his body, like a real dragon circling around him. The sword shadow grew larger and more solid. It was like a heavenly divine sword that emitted a terrifying aura. The sea of lightning around him was instantly wiped out. Even the 6 sky-reaching lightning pillars that were flying over from afar had dimmed. It was as if nothing could resist the dragon-shaped sword shadow. Not good. Seeing this scene, the middle-aged man's scalp went numb. He roared and clasped his hands together again. He frantically activated the 6 heavenly lightning pillars, wanting to quickly kill Lin Xian. At the same time, he retreated rapidly and fled into the distance. This was because he had no confidence that he could resist Lin Xian's sword. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly and activated the dragon sword territory to the extreme. Then, he held the dragon-shaped sword shadow in his hand and slashed out. Boom! The huge sword chi slashed down, bringing about a terrifying storm. The 6 heavenly lightning pillars were instantly cut in half. Not only that, the void in front of him was torn apart by the terrifying sword light, and instantly enveloped the middle-aged man. No! The middle-aged man roared crazily. Countless lightning bolts surrounded his back, forming a pair of lightning wings that flapped rapidly. He turned into a stream of starlight and fled into the distance. However, Lin Xian's sword chi was simply too fast. It was as if the sword chi alone had sealed off all directions. In the next moment, the true dragon sword chi arrived above the middle-aged man and was about to land. Damn it! The middle-aged man's face turned pale, and his scalp went numb. He realized that he couldn't resist at all. However, he didn't want to die here. So in this critical moment, he could only sacrifice his Earth-step treasure, the myriad thunder drum. Explode! The middle-aged man gritted his teeth as a hint of madness appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, he detonated his 10,000 thunder drum, instantly forming a shocking explosion. The energy of an Earth-step treasure's explosion was far too terrifying. In an instant, a terrifying storm was formed to resist the true dragon sword chi. Soon, the true dragon sword chi slashed down, forming a terrifying energy ball that completely engulfed the area in front of it. Lin Xian activated his heavenly eye and focused his gaze. He realized that in the end, the other party still managed to escape. However, even though the other party had managed to escape, he had sustained severe injuries. Most likely, his fighting prowess had dropped significantly, and he would not be able to recover in a short period of time. Oof, at least you ran fast. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Using the dragon-shaped sword chi, just now had consumed a lot of his energy, so he didn't have much energy left. If the other party hadn't detonated the Earth-step treasure, the energy formed would have been terrifying. The other party definitely wouldn't have been able to escape from this sword. He sighed and sat down to rest. At the same time, he used a secret sound transmission to call the dark red dragon and the snow white monkey back. Not long after, a red light flashed. It was the dark red dragon and the snow white monkey that had returned. How was it? Did you kill that person? The dark red dragon asked. Lin Xian shook his head. He escaped. In the end, he detonated the Earth-step treasure and escaped with his life. Detonated the Earth-step treasure? The dark red dragon was shocked. It seemed that this guy was a decisive person. Let's not talk about him. How are things on your side? Lin Xian asked again. You guessed right. It's indeed an ancient ruin. It seems that the Myriad Thunder sect has joined forces with the Tuoba family to occupy the ancient ruin. Two forces want to occupy the entire ancient ruin? What a big appetite. Lin Xian snorted coldly. We definitely can't let them succeed. Of course. Why don't we attack them now and catch them off guard? No need. The ancient ruin must have many restrictions. Let them have a headache trying to crack it. It's better for us to reap the benefits. Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Also spread the news. The more people know, the better. Kid, you want to fish in troubled waters? I like it. The dark red dragon laughed loudly. Although the two of them were powerful, they couldn't contend against two major forces. However, if this matter was made known to everyone, it would definitely attract countless warriors. As long as they mixed in with the crowd, they could secretly obtain it. Lin Xian rested for a while, and then set off with the dark red dragon to spread the news. On the other side, Tuoba Yulong and the other two were still thinking of ways to explore the ancient ruin. They didn't notice that the dark red dragon and the snow-white monkey were spying on them. Whoosh! Suddenly, the void rippled and a figure appeared. The moment he appeared, his body trembled, and he even spat out a mouthful of blood. Mr. Wan! Tuoba Yulong and the other two turned back, and discovered that the wretched figure was actually a middle-aged man from the Myriad Thunder sect. Their expressions changed drastically. Mr. Wan, how did you become like this? Did a mighty figure take action? Tuoba Yulong was nervous. In their opinion, only a mighty figure could injure the middle-aged man so severely. The middle-aged man didn't answer. Instead, he sat down cross-legged and quickly took out a few sacred healing pills to heal his injuries. After a long time, he opened his eyes and slowly breathed a sigh of relief. Although his life was no longer in danger, his face was still abnormally pale. Damn kid, he'll definitely take revenge. Hearing that, Tuoba Yulong and the other two's eyelids twitched wildly. What? It wasn't a mighty figure who took action, but that bastard Lin Xian? The three of them were simply too shocked. That kid is too strange. His combat strength is very strong. However, no matter how strong he is, he can forget about snatching the treasures in the ancient ruin from us. Don't worry, I've already informed the sect. Someone will be here soon. Indeed, a few days later, a few more powerful figures arrived. Among them were middle-aged men, and a few of the older generation. Their auras were abnormally powerful. Elder, the middle-aged man and Tuoba Yulong hurriedly bowed. However, not long after, another group of people arrived. Among them, apart from mighty figures, there was an extremely old man. A living fossil. Chapter 1714. The middle-aged man, Tuoba Yulong, and the others were shocked. They did not expect a fossil-level elder to come. The middle-aged man quickly bowed. Ancestor, why have you come personally? I have no choice, the fossil-level elder said indifferently. Not long ago, many major forces were spreading a piece of news. They said that an ancient ruin was found here, and it contained a huge amount of treasure. Right now, many powers are sending people to investigate. If I don't come, the treasure will fall into someone else's hands. What? Tuoba Yulong and the middle-aged man's expressions turned ugly. Damn it, the news was leaked. Impossible. The news is very secretive. Moreover, we set up a peerless formation. No one can see it clearly. No, there's someone who knows. The middle-aged man's expression turned ugly. That damned brat, he leaked the news. I'm going to catch him. I'm going to cut him into 8 pieces and skin him alive. The middle-aged man's expression darkened. He naturally knew that there was someone else who knew about the news. That person was Lin Xian. It was likely that Lin Xian was the one who leaked the news of this place. The elders of the Myriad Thunder sect also turned gloomy after hearing this. You mean the brat that the Wavering Light Sacred Land is going after? They did not expect a mere pill faction disciple, a 3-star king, to ruin their plan. Don't let me meet him, or I'll make him wish he was dead. Don't worry, we don't have to do anything. Someone will take care of him. You mean the Wavering Light Sacred Land? The middle-aged man revealed a sinister smile. Indeed, as long as the news of that brat leaked out, the experts of the world would do everything they could to hunt him down for the reward from the wavering light sacred land. Haha, as long as he shows up this time he's dead for sure. However, Tuoba Yulong and the others were worried. But so many sects know about it. I'm afraid it's not good for us. So what if so many sects know? Our myriad thunder sect is not to be trifled with. Moreover, we were the first to discover this place. No matter what, we have an innate advantage. The group discussed for a while, then sped up and quickly broke through the entrance to the ancient ruin. As long as they could enter in advance, so what if others found out? In the outside world, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon had spread the news. Everyone knew about the ancient ruins. This news even overshadowed the wavering light sacred land's bounty order. After all, the bounty order and the news of the Heaven's Legacy race were very difficult to complete. It would probably be difficult to find them in a short period of time. However, the ancient ruins were different. They were right there. Furthermore, it wouldn't be long before it appeared in front of everyone. For a time, everyone temporarily gave up on the wavering light sacred land's bounty order and the search for the Heaven's Legacy race. They were all prepared to explore the ancient ruins. The entire eastern wasteland began to move. Not long after, one figure after another appeared in the sky above the primeval forest. These were all kings who had rushed over after hearing the commotion. They were pacing back and forth in the surroundings. Boom! A massive aura gushed out. It was as though an ancient mountain was pressing down on the void. Many martial artists in the surroundings were directly pressed to the ground, unable to move. Almighty! Everyone raised their heads to look at the imposing figure in the sky, their hearts filled with shock. As expected, the underground treasure had attracted a mighty figure. When everyone saw this scene, they couldn't help but spit out saliva. However, not long after, they went completely crazy. That was because after that imposing figure, several equally powerful figures appeared. Each of their auras swept across the world. They were all mighty figures. It was probably the first time in recent years that so many mighty figures had appeared together. Terrifying auras appeared in the sky and pressed down on the surroundings. Fortunately, these mighty figures quickly retracted their auras and landed on the ground. They did not make a move. Otherwise, the area within a radius of 10,000 miles would definitely be destroyed in an instant. In the following days, more and more experts arrived. Countless lightning bolts descended, forming a sea of lightning. Powerful auras pierced through the void. Then figures appeared in the sea of lightning. They all had cold expressions and powerful auras. They were from the 10,000 Thunder sect. Everyone exclaimed. They knew that the underground treasure was first discovered by the 10,000 Thunder sect. However, someone had spread the news. It seemed that the 10,000 Thunder sect could no longer hold back and had sent out a large number of martial artists to compete for the treasure. A full moon descended from the sky, shining bright moonlight all over the ground. Then countless figures appeared in the garden. They were like immortals that people looked up to. Moon-worshipping sect. Countless figures flew over from the sky. Each of them had a pair of translucent wings on their backs. When they flapped their wings, they formed a strong hurricane that swept across the world. They were from the Carefree sect. In addition, there were also the Five Elements sect and the Moon Palace. These were all peerless sects that were extremely terrifying. Apart from the mighty figures and elders, there were also many young disciples from these sections. These young disciples were outstanding and had powerful auras. Each of them had a sharp and confident look on their faces. For this kind of exploration of ancient ruins, all the major sects would send their young disciples to train themselves. After all, in this true spirit world, flowers in a greenhouse could not grow. Only by experiencing countless storms could one become a peerless expert. Everyone looked at the figures in shock. However, the void trembled again. Countless rays of light descended, forming a silver river that reversed the 9 heavens. It was as if a golden path had descended from the heavenly palace to the ground. Under the golden light, countless powerful figures appeared. Each of them was extremely fierce. They were even more powerful than those peerless sections. Wavering light sacred land. Everyone gasped. They did not expect that even the wavering light sacred land would come. Fuck. That's the wavering light saint, right? Everyone looked into the distance and exclaimed. They discovered that there was a handsome young man in the wavering light sacred lands team. He was tall and straight, covered in golden light. Behind him, there were 108 rings of light that were extremely dazzling. It really is the wavering light saint. This wavering light saint is very powerful. Rumor has it that his strength is terrifying. Even many of the older generation are not his match. Yeah, I heard that he is very powerful among the younger generation. He has never been defeated since his debut. Some people even say that he has the attitude of a young great emperor. Hearing this, many people gasped. Great emperor was an existence that everyone in the true spirit world yearned for. However, it was too difficult to become a great emperor. It was like a natural chasm in front of everyone. Not to mention these ordinary warriors, even those brilliant peerless geniuses, might not be able to become a great emperor. Chapter 1715. Since ancient times, there had only been a few great emperors. Each of them was an existence that could crush the ages and destroy the 8 desolates. And these great emperors had already displayed heaven-defying strength when they were young. It was rumored that when these great emperors were young, they were invincible and could sweep through the entire true spirit world. Only such people could become great emperors. And now, it was rumored that the wavering light saint had the bearing of a young great emperor. It was simply too shocking. After the wavering light sacred land, there were more terrifying forces arriving. As for Lin Xian, he was also hidden within the surrounding crowd. This time he changed his appearance and hid his aura. He also carried a formation that was personally inscribed by the dark red divine dragon. It could be said that as long as it wasn't a mysterious celestial spirit master, no one would discover his true appearance. In front, those major forces didn't make a move. Instead, they joined forces and prepared to break the formation together. Because it was useless to fight now. When they reached the ancient ruins, they would rely on their own ability to obtain the treasures. These peerless sects and peerless sacred lands all brought terrifying formation masters and spirit masters. They worked together to break the formation. In front of them, the ground was torn apart, and a black hole appeared. Below it was the entrance to the ancient ruins. And those top formation masters and spirit masters had all entered the ground at this moment, quickly breaking the formation. Ordinary martial artists could only feel wave after wave of terrifying energy gushing out from the ground. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon were hiding in the crowd, but they could see it clearly. They discovered that strange and mysterious patterns were flying out of the ground and spreading in all directions. Obviously, this was the work of those top formation masters and spirit masters. However, breaking the formation wasn't as simple as imagined. This operation lasted for 3 days. However, the formation of the ancient ruins hadn't been opened yet. The surrounding warriors couldn't help but feel a little anxious. But those peerless sacred lands and peerless sects could still remain calm. Sure enough, after another 2 days, an incomparably terrifying fluctuation suddenly came from the ground. The energy was like a wave, suddenly erupting and sweeping in all directions. There were even many people who were directly blown away by this energy. At this moment, voices of ecstasy came from below the ground. Haha, it's broken. It's finally broken. Hearing this, the surrounding warriors also became excited. After 5 days, the combined efforts of 100 top-notch masters had finally removed the ancient restriction. The spirit chi below became more and more intense. Then it turned into countless rays of light, illuminating the entire sky. At this moment, everyone was watching with rapt attention. Even the expressions of the Almighties were solemn. Finally, the light disappeared, and a vermilion door appeared in front of him. The door was simple and unadorned, emitting a desolate aura. They were like 2 huge red mountains, standing firmly in front of him. Once they opened the red door, they would be able to enter the primordial ruins. Tuoba Yulong leaned on his walking stick. His face was covered in sweat, but his eyes were burning with passion. There was no way he wouldn't be excited. There must be countless treasures in this ancient ruin. Perhaps there would even be some rare and precious elixirs that could extend one's lifespan. If he could obtain one, then this trip would definitely not be in vain. For a moment, all the warriors stared at the vermilion door in front of them. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon's eyes flickered. At this moment, Almighty in the sky snorted coldly. Since the entrance has been found, what are we waiting for? Let's just push the door open and enter. As he spoke, he extended his palm and blasted it forward. Immediately, the wind and clouds surged and changed sharply, forming two huge green palms that pushed forward. This was the power of Almighty. It was extremely terrifying. In an instant, the pair of green palms arrived in front of the red door. Boom! The violent aura made everyone tremble. At this moment, countless warriors retreated frantically, afraid that they would be affected by the energy. In the next moment, the green palms slammed onto the vermilion door, erupting with resplendent light. This attack was too terrifying. Fortunately, there were countless experts here suppressing the void. Otherwise, just this palm alone would be enough to destroy a radius of 10,000 miles. However, everyone's expressions were ugly. In fact, those warriors were stunned, because they realized that the vermilion door did not open after such a terrifying attack. This was too unbelievable. At this moment, even the Almighty who attacked earlier had an ugly expression. He did not expect that the vermilion door would be so sturdy. Under his palm, it could not be shaken. At this moment, the living fossil elder of the 10,000 Thunder sect said in a deep voice, "This should not be an ordinary energy door. There was probably a trace of rule power on it. The power of laws." Hearing that, everyone was shocked. That was a magical power that only saints could master. It seemed that this ancient ruin was definitely not ordinary. At least there used to be saints. Otherwise, the power of laws would not appear. After hearing that, the faces of those almighties became even uglier. Although they were extremely powerful and could destroy mountains and rivers and tear apart the void, however, they could not shake the power of laws, because they were not in the same realm at all. Then what should we do? None of us can break the power of laws. Could it be that we really can't enter this time? Those almighties had ugly expressions. However, an elder of the wavering light sacred land shook his head. This door has existed for countless years, and the energy of laws on it is already very weak. It can be said that it's about to disappear. It's not impossible for us to join forces against such energy. Yes, let's join forces and attack. An elder of the Gu family also said in a deep voice. Okay, let's join forces. The living fossil elder of the Myriad Thunder sect also nodded. Then, his figure flickered and he took a step forward. At the same time, an elder of the wavering light sacred land and an elder of the Gu family also appeared in the sky. In addition, two other almighties appeared. The aura of these 5 people was so powerful that it could crush the void. In the next moment, the 5 of them joined forces and blasted towards the vermilion door in front of them. Boom! A shocking bolt of lightning, like the 9 heavens' divine thunder, lit up the entire sky and blasted forward. It was the living fossil of the Myriad Thunder sect. The attack of such a figure was extremely terrifying. In fact, just the aftermath alone made everyone's scalp go numb, and they felt as if they were on the verge of death. Fortunately, he attacked the vermilion door. Otherwise, if he hit the ground, the entire primeval forest would be destroyed mercilessly. Not only him, but the elder of the wavering light sacred land and the elder of the Gu family also attacked. A dazzling ray of light, like the palm of a demon god, blasted forward. On the other side, the elder of the Gu family pointed with his finger. Azure Dragon Finger. The sharp finger light transformed into an azure dragon, spiraling and roaring as it shot out. The other 2 almighties also attacked with their full strength. Chapter 17:16. The scene was too terrifying, as if it was the end of the world. In the next moment, an earth-shattering sound was heard, and endless light scattered in all directions. At that moment, the area within a radius of tens of thousands of miles was illuminated. In front of them, the crimson door slowly opened under this energy. It's open! Seeing this scene, everyone was ecstatic and excited. The 5 peerless powerhouses had joined forces and finally opened the crimson door. Everyone looked in front of them, extremely excited. Let's go in. Charge. In an instant, countless figures rose into the air and flew forward. The other major powers also quickly entered the area. In the crowd, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and followed silently. Finally, he could enter the ancient ruins. He wondered what treasures he would get this time. Soon, he was enveloped by a bright light. After flying for an unknown period of time, it was as if time and space had changed. Finally, the white light around Lin Xian disappeared, and he appeared in the void. Buzz! However, in the next moment, he realized that he could not fly anymore, and his entire body quickly descended. Damn, what's going on? Fortunately, there was endless seawater below, and Lin Xian fell directly into the sea without suffering any injuries. What is this place? It's too strange. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. The ancient ruins seemed to be a world of its own, and there seemed to be strange rules inside. He realized that he could not fly here. It seemed that even mobilizing the surrounding spiritual energy was very difficult. Lin Xian frowned, and the dark red divine dragon also came out and observed carefully. Then it said in a deep voice, "There is a strong order of laws here, different from the outside world. This is something that can only be done by at least a sage. Moreover, it was not an ordinary sage. Kid, be careful. Don't waste your spiritual energy." A special order? Lin Xian was also extremely surprised. This place was indeed strange. Then, he looked around and realized that he was surrounded by an endless sea, and no one else appeared here. Random teleportation. Lin Xian was no stranger to such a situation. However, this was also good. Those people entered together with the elders of the sects and families. If they were here, Lin Xian wouldn't be able to contend against them. But now, everyone was randomly teleported. As long as he did not encounter any powerful beings, he had no fear of the other younger generations. He might even be able to snatch some treasures from those people. At the same time, the people who had entered before also began to rapidly search for treasures and opportunities. However, they didn't know that after they entered, the red door didn't close. The forces that arrived later also sent people in one after another. For a moment, the entire eastern wilderness was in an uproar. However, Lin Xian was still unaware of all this. He was now stepping on the seawater and moving forward quickly. However, during this period, he did not encounter a single person. Instead, he killed many sea monsters. A few days later, Lin Xian discovered that many figures had appeared in the surrounding waters. This surprised him greatly. At this moment, He Tu sent a voice transmission. "Kid, be careful. It seems like a new force has joined." Lin Xian looked around and nodded. Indeed, there were some people that he had not seen before. He guessed that they should be the forces that had entered later. As there were more and more people around, a great battle soon broke out. In fact, the surrounding seawater was even dyed red. Lin Xian glanced at his surroundings coldly before continuing to move forward. However, at this moment, a few figures blocked his path. There were a total of 4 people. There were 3 men and 1 woman. Their auras were powerful. They stared coldly at Lin Xian and sneered. "Kid, how dare you come here alone to search for treasures? It seems like you're really courting death. Hand over your storage ring obediently, and I can spare your life." The few of them said coldly. After they arrived, they realized that they couldn't use the surrounding spiritual qi. Therefore, the subdivine crystals and elixirs in everyone's hands became extremely precious. Otherwise, if they consumed too much spiritual power, it would be very slow for them to recover by absorbing the surrounding spiritual qi. In this primordial ruin, they could be killed if they were not careful. Therefore, they had to have enough subdivine crystals and elixirs in their hands to maintain their strength and not be killed. The 4 people in front of them obviously had their eyes on Lin Xian. They realized that Lin Xian was acting alone. So what if he was strong? He was definitely not a match for the 4 of them. Hearing this, Lin Xian laughed. These people actually had their eyes on him. They were really courting death. Initially, he did not want to attack these people. However, since they had sent themselves to him, he had no choice but to attack. "I'll give you a chance. Kneel down and apologize, then get lost. I can spare your lives," Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Hearing this, The four people in front of him sneered with disdain and mockery. I can't take it anymore. I'm dying of laughter. What did he say? He wants us to kowtow and apologize. He's not going to kill us. Kid, did you soak in the seawater for too long and get water in your head? You're just a 3-star king. How dare you boast so shamelessly? Who do you think you are? A martial artist from the Holy Land? Or a disciple of a clan of the ancients? Humph. Kneel down and cripple your own arms. Hand over your storage ring obediently. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. Our patience is limited. I advise you not to court death. The four people snorted coldly with cold killing intent. However, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice, "Ruffian, long attack." In the next moment, the dark red dragon flew out of his sleeve and attacked together with Lin Xian. Seeing that Lin Xian still dared to attack, the four martial artists in front of him snorted coldly and attacked as well. Boom! A terrifying attack quickly appeared and was about to hit Lin Xian. However, in the next moment, the four people's bodies stiffened. The light that filled the sky also disappeared in an instant. Two of the disciples had bloody holes in their foreheads. As for the other two disciples, 2 dragon claws appeared on their bodies. Their hearts had been hollowed out. Bang! Bang! In the next moment, the four people's bodies fell to the ground, splashing water everywhere. Lin Xian snorted coldly and took their storage rings. Seeing that Lin Xian and the dark red dragon had killed 4 powerful kings in one move, the surrounding martial artists were all shocked. They even retreated quickly, not daring to provoke Lin Xian again. Obviously, they thought that Lin Xian was a powerful demon king, and no one dared to attack him. After intimidating the surrounding martial artists, Lin Xian continued on his journey. One day later, he discovered a small black dot on the surface of the sea in the distance. An island. Lin Xian knew that an island had appeared in front of him. Chapter 17:17. Lin Xian couldn't fly now, so he had to walk on water. Even so, his speed was terrifying to the extreme. This was to conserve energy. Otherwise, he would be even faster. As expected, as Lin Xian ran quickly, the black spot in front of him became bigger and bigger. It was indeed an island. It was about 1,000 miles in size, and wasn't particularly big. At the top, there were tall black mountains and a black forest. It was very strange. However, after searching for so many days, there was nothing but the sea. Now that he saw an island, Lin Xian naturally wanted to go up and check it out. However, just as he approached the island, a group of people flew over from the sea on the opposite side. These people's auras were tyrannical, and even had a murderous aura. It was extremely terrifying. Soon these people blocked Lin Xian's path. Among them, a black-skinned burly man shouted coldly, "Kid, get lost. This is not a place you can come." This burly man's aura was monstrous, and there was even a dense demonic aura surrounding him. It was as if a demon had appeared out of nowhere. Seeing this, Lin Xian frowned. At the side, the dark red divine dragon also said, "Kid, be careful. These people should be half demons, and have the bloodline of the demon clan." Bloodline of the demon clan. Lin Xian was shocked. No wonder the other party had such a terrifying aura. However, no matter how strong the other party was, they couldn't block his path. Therefore, in the next moment he snorted coldly, "Get lost. That island is ownerless. Anyone can go up. If you dare to stop me again, don't blame me for being impolite." Humph. Shameless boasting. A puny 3-star king dares to speak so arrogantly? Kid, I don't want to kill you. Get lost. Otherwise, I'll slap you into a bloody mist. The burly man snorted coldly, and the warriors around him also sneered. Humph. Seeing that the other party was still unwilling to give way, Lin Xian snorted coldly. Without any hesitation, he waved his fists and quickly rushed out the Armageddon Black Dragon Fist. "You dare attack me? You're courting death." The purple-haired man flew into a rage. His opponent was just a trifling 3-star king, yet he dared to attack him. He was truly courting death. In the next moment, he also raised his palm, which turned into a purple light, and slapped forward. The purple beast's claw was extremely sharp, and there were purple scales on it. It carried an incomparably terrifying power, as it ruthlessly smashed forward. For a moment, the seawater was blasted away and scattered to the sides. This terrifying attack caused many people in the distance to cry out in alarm. In the next moment, the two collided, forming an extremely terrifying energy storm. It stirred up the surrounding seawater, and suddenly, countless waves crashed in all directions. It was so much so that a vacuum appeared beneath their feet. Pung! The fist shadows that filled the sky disappeared. At the same time, the purple-clothed man also retreated. A wisp of anger and shock appeared in his eyes. He hadn't expected that a puny 3-star king would possess such terrifying strength and be able to force him back with a single punch. This was unbearable for him. Therefore, in the next moment he roared. Suddenly his body expanded, and his 2 palms turned into purple beast claws. The scales on the claws were shining, and it was extremely terrifying. "Brat, you dare to provoke me? Go to hell!" The purple-clothed man roared and launched another fierce attack. This attack was even more terrifying than before. The purple light covered the entire sky. A terrifying aura shook the sea, and black holes appeared one after another. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. The violent energy in his body also surged out, and the apocalyptic black dragon fist swept out in all directions. The battle between the two was too terrifying, and it caused the entire sea to tremble. The surrounding martial artists were extremely frightened. That purple-clothed man was from the Demon King Palace, right? His strength was extremely terrifying. But who was that young man? He was actually able to fight him to a draw. Could it be that he was also a martial artist from the Peerless Sanctuary? For a moment, everyone was discussing. Boom! Another earth-shattering sound was heard. Then, the purple-clothed man was sent flying, and his face was filled with horror. "Damn it, impossible! This is impossible! How can you be so powerful? Brat, who are you? You don't need to know who I am." Lin Xian snorted coldly. "How dare you block my way? Today you must pay the price." Hearing this, the purple-clothed man's face turned ugly. Previously, he was extremely arrogant and did not take the other party seriously at all. He thought that the other party was an ant that he could kill with a raise of his hand. But now it seemed that he was completely wrong. The other party's strength was extremely powerful, and it even exceeded his expectations. However, the other party's attitude made him extremely angry. The other party actually dared to tell him to get lost. This was intolerable. "Brat, I admit that you've exceeded my expectations, but you're too arrogant. Do you really think that you can defeat me? What a joke. Originally, I just didn't want to expend too much energy, but since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish today." With that, the purple-clothed man let out a long roar. In an instant, the entire sea region trembled along with it. Not only that, the purple-clothed man's body emitted a bright light. Streaks of purple demon chi quickly appeared and circled around him. In the next moment, countless purple scales appeared on his body, and a tail appeared behind him. It was ferocious and terrifying. After transforming into a demon beast, the purple-clothed man's aura suddenly skyrocketed. His entire being was like a demon king, extremely fierce. He's really from the Demon King Palace. He has the demon clan's bloodline. When the surrounding warriors saw this scene, they also exclaimed. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. He had to admit that this bloodline was indeed strange. At least now, the other party's aura was much more powerful than before. After the purple-clothed man transformed into a demon beast, he immediately stomped his foot, and the sea below instantly exploded. Then, he turned into a bolt of purple lightning and rushed over. His speed was very fast, and he arrived in front of Lin Xian in an instant. Boom! 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 The purple-clothed beast waved its terrifying claws and charged forward with a powerful force. Lin Xian brandished the apocalyptic black dragon fist to resist. The momentum was like 2 mountains colliding in the air. A terrifying aura swept out in all directions. Lin Xian was extremely surprised. Indeed, after the purple-clothed man transformed, his strength had increased a lot. Moreover, the demon chi on the purple-clothed man's body had a certain effect on warriors. However, it didn't have much effect on him. With a cold snort, Lin Xian's surroundings were filled with sharp sword light, enveloping him. The sword light even shone, and directly destroyed the demon qi around him. Thunderbolt Dragon. Lin Xian also increased his combat strength and punched out. Immediately, a huge black dragon flew out from his hand, and quickly rushed forward. Boom! Another loud sound was heard, and the purple-clothed man was sent flying again. What? He was sent flying again. Chapter 17:18. Brat, how dare you injure me? I'll make you wish you were dead. The purple-robed man roared madly. In the next moment, he ignited his bloodline, and a ball of purple flames rose from his body. Lin Xian frowned when he saw that the purple-robed man still had some tricks up his sleeve. He did not want to waste too much energy on the purple-robed man. In the next moment, he used his ultimate move again. A pair of black dragon claws appeared in the air. The black dragon claws swooped down from the sky and tore the void apart. Buzz! However, the purple-robed man who had unleashed his bloodline power had become extremely powerful. He turned into a purple bolt of lightning and dodged the spatial crack. Lin Xian was surprised. The purple-robed man was indeed powerful. You're indeed a martial artist from Monster King Palace. You have many tricks up your sleeves. But it's over. Lin Xian snorted. His fist was like a black dragon that quickly pressed down from the sky. It was a terrifying scene. It was as if there was really a giant dragon hovering in the void. Looking at the black fist that was descending from the sky, the purple-robed man roared. Open! In the next moment, he moved his purple beast's claws and struck forward. When the two collided, there was a dazzling light between heaven and earth. The sea was sunk, and a huge whirlpool appeared. Endless seawater gathered below. Roar! The purple-robed man roared, and his eyes were filled with madness. That was because countless cracks had appeared on his body from that strike. Terrifying blood flowed out quickly and dyed him red. Shocking! It was too shocking. He had already ignited his bloodline power. But he still could not contend with the purple-robed man? He could not believe it. However, Lin Xian snorted. So what if he had the bloodline of the monster clan? Since you dare to intercept me, you'll have to pay the price. As he spoke, he waved his fist again. Suddenly, countless black dragon shadows appeared in the sky. It blotted out the sky and shrouded the whole sky. Each of them seemed real and gave off a powerful aura. Countless dragon shadows swooped down and engulfed the purple-robed man in an instant. The purple-robed man could not resist at all. His body was torn apart and dyed the sea red. On the other hand, Lin Xian snorted coldly and raised his hand to take away the storage ring. This scene was simply too shocking. A dignified martial artist of the Demon Imperial Palace, a powerful half-demon, had actually been killed by someone. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed it even if they were beaten to death. However, although the surrounding crowd was shocked, there were still a few people whose eyes were flickering with killing intent. It was obvious that they wanted to make a move on Lin Xian. It was not that they were crazy, but these people thought that this was a great opportunity. This was because Lin Xian must have used up a lot of spiritual energy in his battle with the Demon Imperial Palace's martial artists. He even suffered some injuries. At this time, if several experts attacked together, there was a high chance that they would be able to kill the other party. At that time, not only Lin Xian's storage ring, but even the purple-clothed man's storage ring would belong to the final victor. Therefore, a few people were preparing to make a move in secret. However, at this time, Lin Xian snorted coldly in front of them, and a shocking light burst out from his eyes. From his body, streaks of sharp sword qi gushed out, piercing through heaven and earth like divine swords. It was extremely terrifying. The terrifying sword qi swept out in all directions, flattening the entire sea. Come at me if you're not afraid of death, Lin Xian said coldly, releasing a powerful aura that was even more tyrannical than before. Feeling this aura, many people's scalps went numb, and their expressions were horrified. The few experts who wanted to make a move in secret also narrowed their eyes in shock. They did not expect that the other party would still have energy after such an intense battle. And from the looks of it, he did not seem to have the right to attack before. This made them feel like they were dreaming. For a moment, a few experts frowned. This was because they did not know if Lin Xian was really strong and powerful, or if he was just pretending to confuse them. In the end, these people thought about it again and decided to give up. This was because they were not completely confident. In the crowd, 5 or 6 figures quickly retreated and left the area like ghosts. After the experts hiding in the dark left, the remaining warriors did not dare to make a move. In fact, they could not withstand the aura that Lin Xian was emitting at this moment. However, at this moment, a charming laughter came from afar. "Young master, you're so powerful. I wonder if I have the opportunity to travel with you?" Hearing this voice, many people's bones went soft, and their eyes shone with a fiery light. Lin Xian, on the other hand, frowned slightly. What a powerful bewitching technique. Just this voice alone was enough to make one's qi and blood churn, and make one's expression unstable. It seemed that the other party was also a ruthless character. However, this charm technique was effective on others, but it did not have any effect on him. With a cold snort, the great dragon sword soul in his body circulated. Lin Xian was not affected at all. However, the surrounding people raised their heads and looked into the distance with infatuation. Over there, a green figure was flying towards them at high speed. It was an extremely beautiful woman. Her skin was whiter than snow, and her eyes were like a ball of fire. As she looked around, she had a charming aura that was captivating. The woman in green came close, looked at Lin Xian, and said with a smile, "I wonder which sex genius disciple you are from. You have such powerful strength. I'm so happy to see you." Lin Xian frowned slightly. He did not understand what she was trying to do. At this moment, the surrounding people could not help but shout, "Beauty, are you looking for a bodyguard for your safety? Look for a brother. He's very powerful." "Yes, Beauty, come to us. We guarantee that you won't be in any danger. Come to me. Come to me." Shouts came one after another. These people were so excited that they could not wait to attack. However, Lin Xian snorted and shook his head helplessly. The people around him were really reckless. Although the woman in green was smiling on the surface, her true strength was probably more terrifying than the purple-robed man from the Demon King Palace. These people actually wanted to be her bodyguard. They really did not know what was good for them. At this moment, the dark red divine dragon said, "Boy, be careful. This woman is also a half-demon. She's also a half-demon." Lin Xian was surprised. He did not expect that the other party was also a half-demon. It seemed that it was very likely that she was from the same faction as the purple-robed man. Knowing this, he secretly became vigilant. The great dragon sword soul in his body circulated quickly, ready to attack at any time. The smile on the woman in green's face became even wider. She moved her jade-like feet and slowly approached Lin Xian. When she was less than 30 feet away, the woman in green suddenly attacked. Chapter 17:19. The void trembled and was mercilessly cut open. This kick was very sudden and extremely terrifying. If it were any other king, even a 6-star king would have been hit, because it was too sudden. However, Lin Xian sneered. He had long known that there was something wrong with the other party, so he was always on guard against her. Now that he saw the other party make a move, his figure swayed, and he directly used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps to retreat. Buzz! The kick missed, and the place where Lin Xian was originally standing suddenly exploded, forming a terrifying black hole. Everyone exclaimed. They did not expect the woman in green to suddenly attack when she came in. However, what shocked them even more was that the woman in green missed. Not to mention the surrounding cultivators. Even the woman in green was extremely surprised, because her kick was very sudden, and even a 6-star king could not dodge it. However, the other party actually dodged it. She had to admit that it was too surprising. However, what shocked her was yet to come, because in the next moment, her move was over, and that pair of jade-like legs had yet to be retracted. However, a black fist in front of her quickly blasted over like a mountain. Bang! This black fist was naturally thrown by Lin Xian. At this moment, it blasted onto that pair of perfect jade-like legs, resulting in a shocking collision. The pair of jade-like legs were directly blasted apart. The woman in green screamed, and the surrounding people looked pained. Heartache, it was too heartache. Such a beautiful woman with such perfect legs. But someone actually mercilessly shattered them. It was truly abominable. Obviously, the person who had such thoughts was still under the influence of the charm technique. If the woman in green attacked these people, none of them would be able to dodge. The woman in green's expression changed drastically, and there was even a hint of anger in her eyes. She screamed and retreated backward. A silver-white tail appeared on that jade-like leg that was blasted apart. It was an inverted triangle that flickered with a cold light. This was a scorpion tail. The moment it appeared, it carried a monstrous killing intent, and it stabbed towards Lin Xian like a spear. Light flashed, and the void was instantly pierced through. However, this time, it still stabbed nothing, because Lin Xian's speed had reached an unbelievable level. The heavenly dragon's 8 steps was incomparable, and he instantly dodged this attack. As expected of a half-demon, Lin Xian looked at the scorpion tail and said coldly, "What? He's also a half-demon." When the crowd saw this scene, they cried out in surprise. They hadn't expected the woman in green to be a half-demon as well. However, the woman in green's bewitchment technique was simply too powerful. Even though they saw that the other party was a half-demon, many warriors were still dazed. It seemed that he had been deeply affected by the spell. The green-clothed woman retreated to a safe distance and stopped. Then, the green light on her body surged and quickly condensed at the silver scorpion tail. Then, a pair of perfect jade-like feet and legs grew out again. However, although her severed limb had regenerated, the green-clothed woman's face was still somewhat pale. It was obvious that this rebirth technique was very taxing on her. "Damned brat, how dare you injure me?" The woman in green stared at Lin Xian with a vicious look in her eyes. But in the end, she didn't make a move. This was because the other party's strength was too strange. She was actually able to dodge his unexpected attack, and even severely injure him. All of this was beyond her expectations. Moreover, she had expended a lot of energy, and wasn't in the right state to fight with the other party. "Brat, you injured me today. One day, I'll kill you with my own hands," the green-clothed woman said through gritted teeth. Then, she looked around and released her bewitchment technique again. She turned into a ray of green light, and left into the distance. The surrounding warriors were affected by the bewitchment technique, and their eyes were dazed again. There were even a few who were too deeply affected, and directly moved to follow the green-clothed woman. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian shook his head slightly. It seemed that those warriors who left with her would have their yang qi and blood sucked dry. However, this was their decision, and he didn't stop them. Moreover, even if they recovered their strength, they were still no match for him. Therefore, Lin Xian shook his head and stopped paying attention to them. Instead, he looked at the island in front of him. "Brat, let's go take a look," said the dark red divine dragon. Lin Xian nodded. There was no other way. Then, the two of them quickly ran forward. There were already many people standing on the black island in front of them. Obviously, these people wanted to search for treasures on the island. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon also arrived on the island. Suddenly, they felt a cold and gloomy aura. It was as if they didn't land on an island, but in the netherworld. After Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon, many people quickly arrived on the island. As more and more warriors arrived, the entire island started to change. First, there was a wisp of black fog coming from the forest in front of them, and gradually spread in all directions. Not only that, but the surrounding light also dimmed as if countless dark clouds were gathering towards the island. A chilly wind blew, and it was so cold that it made people shiver uncontrollably. Many people felt their hair stand on end, and their scalps go numb. They even had the urge to run away. The dark red divine dragon also shivered and howled. "Brat, why do I feel that something is wrong?" "Me too." Lin Xian looked solemn. "Anyway, be careful. Don't fall into the other party's trap." Lin Xian walked towards the black forest in front of him. Many warriors around him followed suit. The black forest was very strange. The trees were completely black, as if they had been stained with blood. Walking in the black forest, it was quiet all around. There was no sound at all. This silence made people feel hopeless. However, at this moment, there was a sudden scream that pierced through the void. What happened? Everyone was shocked. Did someone make a move? Even Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon frowned. Sure enough, there was a strange change in the black forest. The entire forest seemed to have come alive. The black trees turned into demons, and their branches were like demon claws that danced quickly. A few warriors were directly pierced by the black branches due to their carelessness. Gurgle gurgle. Soon, the blood of those warriors who were pierced was all absorbed by the black branches. This terrifying change shocked everyone. In an instant, countless angry roars were heard. Then rays of bright light lit up. Chi and blood like dragons dyed the sky red. It was obvious that those warriors were making a move. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon were also attacked. Those black branches carried a gloomy and cold aura, and strangely curved, piercing towards their vitals. Humph. Chapter 1720. Humph. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Countless sharp sword lights bloomed around him, slashing in all directions. Immediately, those branches were quickly cut off. Ka. However, it was not over yet. New branches grew out from those cut-off branches, and quickly wrapped around Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon. They were endless, and could not be killed at all. Lin Xian tried a few times, and also discovered this characteristic. Hence, he hurriedly called out to the dark red divine dragon. Hurry up and leave this forest. The two of them rushed to the left like lightning. The others did not linger, and also turned around and quickly left. Whoosh whoosh. However, in this black forest, the sound of countless wings flapping suddenly sounded. Soon after, numerous black shadows flew out from the forest, covering the sky and covering the earth. It was a kind of strange black bird. Its entire body was pitch black, and it was the size of a palm. However, its eyes were incomparably red with a bloodthirsty light. Damn it, it's the blood crows. Run! Someone cried out in surprise. Hearing this, the surrounding warriors also felt their scalps go numb. Blood crows were an extremely terrifying kind of demon beast. They specialized in sucking the flesh and blood of warriors, and could be said to be very evil. These blood crows' combat power was not very strong individually, but this was a kind of creature that lived in a group. Every time they moved, they would cover the sky and earth endless, forming an extremely terrifying blood crow army. Ordinary kings could not resist at all. Now they did not expect to actually encounter such terrifying blood crows. For a time, countless people no longer cared about hiding their strength and fled crazily. However, the number of these blood ducks was really too many. In all directions, in the sky and on the ground everywhere. In an instant, they collided with the human warriors. Puff! A human warrior was instantly covered by hundreds of blood crows. His body was directly caught. Explode! Blood mist filled the air, and the blood was quickly devoured by these blood crows. Not only that, the taste of the blood even stimulated this group of blood crows. Each of them released an extremely terrifying blood-colored light, and flew towards the human warriors crazily. Ah! Miserable screams sounded one after another. Not long after, many warriors were caught and turned into blood mist. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon were also affected. Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved his fist. Terrifying black fist shadows surged forward and wrapped up a group of blood crows. For a moment, a vacuum appeared in the sky. Looking at this scene, the surrounding people were all shocked. Such combat prowess was simply too terrifying. But soon Lin Xian frowned. This was because the empty space was quickly covered by countless blood crows once again. They were densely packed, blotting out the sky and covering the earth as they rushed toward him. This scene was extremely terrifying. Even Lin Xian felt his scalp go numb. In the next moment, he quickly used the dragon sword domain to envelop him and the dark red divine dragon. Terrifying sword chi swept out in all directions, resisting the blood crows that filled the sky. Then, Lin Xian moved and sprinted forward. Screams of agony could be heard all around. However, there were also experts among these martial artists. Clang! There was an earth-shattering explosion. Then in the distance, a blue flash of lightning shot up into the sky. The terrifying power of thunder and lightning descended and quickly attacked those blood crows. It was an expert from the Myriad Thunder sect. At this moment, he roared and lightning flashed all over his body. He looked like a thunder god. On the other side, a golden light soared into the sky like a golden river roaring in the void. The experts from the Wavering Light Holy Land also made their move. There was another earth-shattering explosion. Then, a saber light slashed through the void like a rainbow. From time to time, experts appeared in the crowd to fight against the terrifying Blood Crow army. The surrounding ancient martial art practitioners quickly followed behind these top powers and rushed forward. With these powerhouses around, their safety was guaranteed. However, not long after, an extremely cold cry suddenly sounded from the Blood Crow army in front. Then, a huge monster appeared in front. It was a very large blood crow. It was as big as a house. Its head was ferocious, and there were 3 blood-red eyeballs on it. As soon as this huge blood crow appeared, it carried a monstrous murderous aura and boundless blood light. Then it spread its wings and croaked. In the third eye, a blood-red lightning suddenly shot out. Rumble! This blood-red lightning struck the crowd and instantly killed more than 10 martial artists. Damn it! Not good. It's the Blood Crow King. Everyone's scalp went numb. They already couldn't fight against an ordinary Blood Crow army. They didn't expect the Blood Crow King to appear now. This made them unable to resist at all. Humph. What Blood Crow King? Watch me destroy you. A middle-aged man snorted. He held a shiny long saber in his hand, and his entire body emitted a monstrous aura. With a slash of the saber light was like a rainbow, and the dazzling saber light illuminated the entire forest. A terrifying aura surged in the void, causing the entire island to shake rapidly. Melon! The Blood Crow King roared crazily. Then its 3 eyeballs turned and countless blood-red lightning surged out quickly. Boom! In the next moment, the blood-red lightning that filled the sky collided with the terrifying saber light. Violent energy exploded, and the world was dazzling. Under the blood-red lightning, the terrifying saber light was directly shattered into pieces without any resistance. Not only that, but even that martial artist was also pierced by the blood-red lightning. What? An expert was killed. Seeing this scene, everyone's scalp went numb. That swordsman was very powerful. Previously, it was him who killed countless blood crows with one slash. But they didn't expect that he would be killed by the Blood Crow King in just one move. This was simply too shocking. Lin Xian also frowned because he realized that the Blood Crow King's strength was indeed terrifying. He didn't want to be entangled with the opponent, so he used the Dragon Sword Realm. His entire body turned into a sharp sword light, and continued to open up a path. After the Blood Crow King killed the swordsman, its 3 blood-red eyeballs emitted a monstrous blood-red light, and then swept in all directions. Soon it stared at Lin Xian, the experts from the Yaoguang Sacred Land, the Myriad Thunder sect, and the other human experts. In the next moment, it spread its wings and the blood-red light on its body quickly surged. Then, it turned into dozens of Blood Crow avatars, and rushed towards Lin Xian and the others. These Blood Crow avatars were 2 meters long and completely blood-red. They were completely formed by blood-red lightning. They carried a monstrous demonic aura. Not only that, although they were just avatars, their strength was terrifying. The Blood Crow King actually wanted to use its power to fight against Lin Xian, the Yaoguang Sacred Land, and the other human experts. It had to be said that it was too arrogant. All the surrounding martial artists felt their scalps go numb, and quickly retreated. Lin Xian also frowned. He snorted coldly and waved his fist. The image of a black dragon with black lightning quickly appeared and charged into the void. Chapter 1721. Boom! The void was torn apart in an instant. Terrifying energy swept in all directions, causing the surrounding Blood Crow army to also be affected. In the sky, the 2 energies collided with each other, creating a terrifying storm. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon did not hesitate either. They took advantage of this opportunity to set off again. On the other side, the powerhouses of the Wavering Light Sacred Land, Myriad Thunder sect, and other experts were also attacked by the Blood Crow King's clone. These people roared and used their ultimate skills to fight against the Blood Crow King's clone. A huge golden phantom appeared behind the powerhouse of the wavering light sacred land. A terrifying light rushed into the sky. The powerhouse of the myriad thunder sect also held a thunder sword in his hand and slashed forward. The other powerhouses also quickly made their moves to fight against it. A great battle broke out. The terrifying energy seemed to want to destroy the entire island. Under normal circumstances, a casual attack from these people would be able to destroy the entire island. But now, with so many powerhouses attacking together, and the terrifying energy explosion, it still did not shake the Black Island. It had to be said that it was really too shocking. Despicable outsiders. How dare you enter my oblique moon mystic world? You can stay here. This voice was very low and carried a cold killing intent. Hearing this, everyone trembled. However, the powerhouse of the wavering light sacred land exclaimed, "Damn it, you're a native of the ancient ruins. How is this possible? You're still alive." This voice was filled with shock and horror. After the others heard this, their scalps went numb. There were actually natives in the ancient ruins. And they were still alive. This was too unbelievable. One had to know that this place was an ancient ruin that had existed for countless years. Even a great emperor could not live for so long. But now these people were actually still alive. Damn it, what the hell is going on? Are you humans or ghosts? The powerhouse of the myriad thunder sect also roared. At this moment, everyone's bodies trembled, and a chill rose in their hearts. Even the dark red divine dragon and Lin Xian felt their scalps go numb. The two of them looked at each other, and no longer held back. They erupted with powerful auras and rushed forward. This news was too shocking. There were actually people from the ancient times who were still alive. Furthermore, it was on this island. Just the thought of it was terrifying. At this moment, the dragon sword realm was pushed to its limits. Turning into a shocking dragon-shaped sword shadow, it flew out rapidly. Roar! Everywhere it passed, a large number of blood crows were pierced through. Nothing could stop it. Who dares to trespass into my ancestral land? That voice was heard again before a wave of majestic energy shot towards Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon. The terrifying energy surged towards Lin Xian like a sharp blade. Wherever it passed, the entire void trembled rapidly, and even the ground caved in. One had to know that this Black Island was extremely sturdy. Even when so many experts had attacked, they had not been able to break it. And now, a mere wave of energy had caused such a change to the entire Black Island. One could imagine how terrifying this energy fluctuation was. Wang. At this critical moment, Lin Xian drew out the 9 darkness demonic sword. Together with the dragon sword realm, he raised his combat strength to the maximum. He turned into a sharp sword light and dodged forward. A terrifying light shot up into the sky. TSK. TSK. At this moment, the entire dragon sword realm was extremely sharp and fast. In the end, he narrowly avoided the attack. He actually dodged it. Seeing this scene, the indigenous person hiding in the dark was also very surprised. He did not expect that the other party could actually dodge his attack. This was really too surprising. Looking at the figures of Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon, a figure in the dark sneered. So what if you manage to dodge this? You'll be killed sooner or later. The indigenous person shook his head and ignored Lin Xian and the rest. Instead, he stared at the experts of the Yaoguang sacred land and the myriad thunder sect on the island and attacked again. Suddenly a great battle broke out. It was extremely shocking. On the other side, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon dodged the shocking attack. Then, the two of them quickly flew away and left the Black Island. After leaving the Black Island, there was still the sea in front of them. However, the sea water had turned into a strange black color. As it surged, it carried an extremely cold aura. It was not until they were far away from the Black Island that Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon slowed down their pace. Then, the two of them heaved a sigh of relief. Their faces were filled with fear. It was too dangerous. If they were a step slower, they would definitely have been hit by that shocking energy. Even if they did not die, they would be seriously injured. However, this wasn't what shocked them the most. What shocked them even more was that there were indigenous people alive in the ancient ruins. This was simply too unbelievable. Moreover, according to their guess, that mysterious person should not be the only one alive. Damn it, what the hell is this place? How can someone live here for so long? Lin Xian's expression was solemn. At this moment, He Tu also floated out and said in a deep voice, "It's impossible for anyone to live for so long. A great emperor can only live for 10 or 20,000 years at most. Unless it's a real immortal. However, whether there are immortals in this world is still unknown. Perhaps there are people who have survived in the ancient ruins. Those who left earlier were not from the ancient times, but their descendants. Perhaps." Hearing this, Lin Xian was obviously relieved. As long as they were not from the ancient times, it was fine. However, the situation is still not optimistic, said the dark red divine dragon. We don't know how many years those people have lived in the ancient ruins. I'm afraid that even if there are treasures here, they would have already found them. As for those that they can't find, we won't be able to find them in a short period of time. It seems that this trip was a waste of time. Indeed, the dark red divine dragon was right. Lin Xian also frowned. However, it was probably impossible to return now. It was better to leave the Black Sea first and observe the situation. Next, Lin Xian took out a spirit boat, and the two of them flew into the distance. Of course, they were not flying in the air, but flying close to the sea surface. Although the speed of the spirit boat was not very fast, it saved a lot of energy. On the Black Island, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon had exhausted some of their energy. Therefore, they were sitting cross-legged and absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy with difficulty. The supreme-grade subdivine crystals and elixirs in their hands were prepared for an emergency situation and for a quick recovery. 3 days later, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon finally recovered. However, they still could not see the end of the sea. Chapter 1722. This alerted Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. The two of them stood up and looked down. Boom, boom, boom. The spiritual boat shook continuously, and the surrounding seawater surged rapidly. Countless huge waves appeared as though they were going to devour the boat. There's something. Lin Xian frowned. Then, he quickly leaped up with the Crimson Dragon. At the same time, he flipped his palm and kept the spiritual boat. Indeed, in the next moment, waves surged on the surface of the sea. A black tentacle stretched out from the bottom of the sea. It was pitch black like ink, and looked like a devil's claw from hell. With a sinister and terrifying aura, it quickly rushed into the sky. Along with it, there was the sound of waves rolling and a terrifying murderous aura. What's that? The Crimson Dragon was also shocked and quickly retreated. On the other side, Lin Xian quickly retreated. Poof! The black tentacle quickly descended and slapped the surface of the sea. Then, it formed two waves that were 1,000 feet tall and surged in all directions. The pitch-black seawater was extremely heavy like black gold. At this moment, it became extremely cold. Lin Xian snorted coldly as he looked at the incoming black waves. Then he swung his fist. A black dragon claw appeared and waved rapidly in the void. Crack! 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 The void was torn apart in an instant. The black waves that were 1,000 feet tall were also torn in half. Countless black waves fell on both sides of Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. However, not a single drop of water fell on them. During this process, Lin Xian activated his heavenly secret god eyes and saw what was below him. It was a gigantic octopus. It was extremely terrifying, and its size was similar to the Black Island from before. In particular, the aura of the octopus was as deep as the sea. It was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon felt their scalps go numb. They were unwilling to fight against it. Then, the two of them moved again and flew into the distance. This time they couldn't care less. They held the two supreme-grade subdivine crystals and flew at full speed while absorbing the energy. The Crimson Dragon let out a deep dragon roar. The dragon blood in its body surged into the sky, and it released a powerful divine beast aura to warn the surroundings. The aura of dragons permeated the air, and it was incomparably terrifying. Immediately, the incomparably huge black octopus became extremely fearful. He didn't continue to pursue Lin Xian and Lin Xian. The two of them heaved a sigh of relief. However, in the following days, they encountered countless huge sea creatures, each of which was extremely terrifying. Fortunately, they managed to avoid it without any mishap. 10 days later, they finally discovered another black dot in front of them. Another island? The two of them frowned, but as they continued to fly, joy appeared on their faces. The reason for that was because they discovered that it was not an island. Instead, it was land. "I've finally left this terrifying sea of darkness." Lin Xian and the dark red dragon were overjoyed and sped up again. In front of him was a golden beach, and behind the golden beach was a dense forest. It was not a strange black forest, but a normal green forest. Whoosh, whoosh. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon came to the golden beach. Feeling the scalding heat, the two of them felt like they had just survived a disaster. The past few days had been too frightening. Each of those sea creatures was extremely terrifying. Fortunately, the dark red divine dragon was a dragon and had a powerful divine beast aura. That was why they were able to avoid it. Lin Xian was fine as he silently looked around. However, the dark red divine dragon lay directly on the golden beach and kept rolling around. "There are spirit fruits ahead." The dark red divine dragon looked ahead and saw a strangely shaped fruit growing on a tree in front of them. Immediately its eyes lit up. Lin Xian also pursed his lips. He was also a little hungry these days. In the end, the two of them walked forward. However, at that moment, a few figures walked out of the forest. They stared at Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon with unfriendly expressions. Seeing that someone had come out, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon became nervous, because they thought that they were the natives of this ancient ruin. However, they soon heaved a sigh of relief, because they realized that they were not natives, but the martial artists from the various major factions who had come in with them. As long as they're not natives, Lin Xian breathed a sigh of relief. The few people in front sneered. "Kid, hand over all your treasures and be our slaves. We can spare your life. Otherwise, today will be the day you die." "Fuck. It's another robbery." The dark red divine dragon looked unhappy. He had been chased for more than 10 days, and he did not expect to be robbed again. Therefore he said coldly, "Get lost. Otherwise I'll eat you. You have a death wish. It's just a four-horned snake. How dare it make a fuss? Go kill it. We'll have snake soup tonight." A young man sneered. He pulled out the long saber at his waist and slashed forward. A dazzling saber light flashed, bringing with it a powerful storm. That slash was extremely terrifying. "Stinky snake, die." The young man sneered. However, the dark red divine dragon snorted. He did not hold back at all. His body swayed, and his dragon tail swept out. Clang! In the next moment, his dragon tail collided with the sharp saber light. A terrifying sound wave reverberated, shaking the void and causing countless cracks to appear in the surroundings. Explode. However, the result was beyond everyone's expectations. That terrifying saber light was destroyed by the dark red divine dragon's tail. "What? That's impossible." The young man's pupils constricted when he saw that. He did not expect the other party to have such powerful strength. "Let's attack together and kill him." The other two martial artists also realized that something was wrong. Therefore, they roared angrily, and a sharp light erupted from their bodies. They decided to join forces and kill the dark red divine dragon first. Whoosh! However, the dark red divine dragon was too fast. Just as those people attacked, he slapped down with his dragon claw. Boom! It covered the sky and covered the earth, as if a red mountain had descended from the sky. The young martial artist who had attacked before had yet to come back to his senses when he was slapped into a bloody mist. "You have a death wish. Kill him." The others saw that and immediately roared crazily. They did not expect the other party to be so decisive and kill one of their martial artists in an instant. Humph! In the void, a dazzling ray of light shone like a rainbow, descending from the sky. It was a triangular mirror made of bronze. Mysterious patterns were engraved on it. At that moment, a terrifying ray of light descended from the mirror. It was abnormally sharp like a heavenly saber. That ray of light quickly swept toward the dark red divine dragon. Damn you, snake! Die! The martial artist holding the bronze mirror sneered. However, this time, the dark red divine dragon did not dodge. Instead, he waved his dragon claw and quickly clawed forward. Clang! Chapter 1723. However, the result was not what they had expected. The dark red divine dragon was not pierced. Instead, it shattered the terrifying light with a slap of its paw. What? That's impossible. D***minute. I don't believe it. The martial artist roared crazily as he activated the ancient bronze mirror in his hand with all his might, shooting out terrifying light beams one after another. The dark red divine dragon looked disdainful. It waved its claws and formed a red claw print. It grabbed at the void. Boom! Boom! That incomparably terrifying bronze mirror had no effect in front of the dark red divine dragon at this moment. Not only that, but the dark red divine dragon also appeared in front of the martial artist in a flash. What? The martial artist was shocked. He did not expect the dark red divine dragon to be so fast. He did not even have time to react. Boom! The dark red divine dragon sneered and slapped the ancient bronze mirror away from the man's hand. Then, it waved its claws and pierced through the martial artist. Boom! A bloody mist exploded, bringing with it a strong smell of blood. What? It killed another martial artist? The remaining two martial artists felt their scalps go numb. They did not expect the four-horned crawling snake in front of them to be so powerful that it surprised them. Oh no! The enemy is too powerful. Let's go. The two martial artists looked at each other and did not attack. Instead, they fled in the opposite direction. The dark red divine dragon looked at them with a smile. Then, it raised its head and spat out two balls of dragon flame. Whoosh! Whoosh! The red flames were like flowing lights. They instantly engulfed the two martial artists and burned them fiercely. Ah! 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 Two martial artists screamed as they were burned to ashes. Clang! In the distance, two storage rings fell to the ground with a crisp sound. How dare a few pieces of trash like you attack me? You're courting death. The dark red divine dragon snorted disdainfully. It waved its claws and took the storage rings of the martial artists. Lin Xian, on the other hand, watched quietly from the side. From the beginning to the end, he did not make a move. Now that the dark red divine dragon had dealt with the martial artists, he said with a smile, "All right, ruffian dragon, go and hunt some wild beasts and roast them." At the same time, he also brought out the snow-white fox and asked it to pick some spirit fruits. Woogie woogie, the snow-white little roar transformed into a streak of white lightning and flew towards the forest. Not long after, it returned with a large pile of spirit fruits. This wasn't because Lin Xian was lazy, but because the little white monkey was very intelligent. The heaven-chosen fruit definitely didn't contain any poison. Moreover, their spiritual power was the most abundant. On the other side, the dark red divine dragon had also returned. Its tail was dragging a huge tiger, a cheetah, and a white jade elephant. After that, Lin Xian began to prepare the barbecue. 3 bonfires were set up on the beach. Then the corpses of 3 huge demonic beasts were cut into pieces and placed on top of the bonfires. Not long after, the aroma of barbecued meat wafted over. Not only that, Lin Xian cut the spirit fruits into pieces and placed them aside. He even took out some secret spirit wine and placed it on the beach. Meanwhile, he, the dark red divine dragon, and the little white monkey surrounded the bonfires and lay comfortably on the golden beach. The sky was blue and spotless. Sunlight shone on the ground. The sea breeze blew from time to time, bringing with it a salty smell. The aroma of barbecued meat was getting more and more fragrant, making people drool. If it wasn't for the battle just now, those who didn't know would have thought that the 3 of them were here for a vacation. Soon, the meat was roasted to a golden color and emitted a rich aroma. The dark red divine dragon and the little white monkey couldn't wait any longer. They immediately pounced on the meat. Lin Xian also cut a meat leg and slowly tasted it. Not long after, the sound of something breaking through the air came from the sea in front of them. 5 or 6 long rainbows streaked across the sky and flew toward the golden beach. Those auras were so powerful that they directly cut the surface of the sea, causing countless waves to splash in all directions. Soon, those long rainbows arrived on the beach. In the next moment, those people were stunned. That was because they saw Lin Xian and the others on the golden beach. It wasn't strange that there were people on the beach, but what surprised them was the scene in front of them. A handsome young man was half lying on the beach, eating golden barbecued meat and drinking supreme-grade spirit wine. It was as if he was on vacation. On the side, there was a dark red four-legged snake and a little white monkey, who were also eating the golden barbecued meat. No matter how they looked at it, the scene looked like a dream. Heavens, am I dreaming? Who is this kid? How can he be living such a comfortable life? We risked our lives to escape the sea of death, but he's actually enjoying himself so much. Could it be that he's a native of this place? Thinking of this, the few of them stared at Lin Xian with a serious expression, and a cold light bloomed in their eyes. Lin Xian also put down the golden barbecued meat in his hand, and quickly stood up, frowning. That was because he felt a sense of danger. Although the 5 people in front of him were injured, and their auras were fluctuating, and even very chaotic. However, the energy contained in their bodies was still shocking and terrifying. Needless to say, they were definitely 5 experts, especially the one at the front. His aura was even sharper. He was a tall and sturdy young man with wounds all over his body. There was even a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He was quite handsome, but he gave off a very special feeling. Especially his eyes. They were incomparably deep and emitted an eerie chill. They were like poisonous snakes that made people feel extremely uncomfortable. On his left was a woman. She had a graceful figure and beautiful curves. Her clothes were tattered, and her slender snow-white breasts were faintly discernible. Her jade-like arms and flat belly were exposed, making her look extremely alluring. On the right were 3 youths. They were all injured, but their gazes were exceptionally sharp. Moreover, Lin Xian discovered that the 5 of them were wearing the uniform of a sect. Even the dark red divine dragon frowned. He quickly transmitted his voice. "Brat, be careful. These are people from the All Beginnings Holy Land." The All Beginnings Holy Land. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. This was definitely a terrifying sect. In fact, their strength wasn't any weaker than the Wavering Light Holy Land. Moreover, from the looks of these 5 people, they should be elites of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he pondered whether or not he could kill them in a single strike. In the end, he discovered that it would be somewhat difficult. Even if he could kill these people, he would most likely be seriously injured. In that case, the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. After all, from the current situation, he wasn't the first person to reach this golden beach. Nor would he be the last. Before and after this, there would be other experts arriving. He had to conserve his strength as a precaution. Therefore, now wasn't the time to make a move. Moreover, he didn't have any enmity with the All Beginnings Holy Land. Therefore, he didn't have to make a move. Just as he was pondering, the 5 All Beginnings Holy Land cultivators in front of him opened their mouths. One of them, a round-faced fatty, coldly shouted, "Brat, who are you?" Chapter 1724. As he spoke, an exceptionally sharp aura was emitted from his body. It was as if he would immediately attack Lin Xian, if his answer did not conform to his expectations. "Everyone, there is no need to be nervous. I am not a native. I am only an ordinary loose cultivator." A loose cultivator? Hearing this, the group heaved a sigh of relief. It was fine as long as he was not a native. They did not care about disciples of sects in the outside world. Even if the other party was someone from the Wavering Light Holy Land, they would not be afraid. Moreover, the other party was only an insignificant loose cultivator. They would not care about him at all. At this time, the handsome man at the front spoke. "The 5 of us are disciples of the All Beginnings Holy Land. This time, we encountered a powerful sea monster at sea. That's why we came here. How about this? Go and prepare some food and spirit wine for us." The killing intent on the handsome man's body disappeared. However, there was a hint of an order in his voice. It was as if he was a high and mighty monarch, and Lin Xian was only a servant. Hearing this, the dark red dragon immediately became displeased. When have we ever been ordered like this? However, Lin Xian shook his head slightly. He even transmitted his voice to the dark red dragon, telling him not to act blindly without thinking. He did not have the confidence to kill the other party right now. Okay, I will go and prepare some food for you. Lin Xian's expression was calm. Then, he dragged the dark red dragon and the snow-white monkey and walked toward the forest. Looking at the backs of Lin Xian and the dark red dragon, the beautiful woman at the side asked, "Senior brother, why didn't you kill him?" "Kill him? Wouldn't that be letting him off too easily? We are all injured right now. Moreover, we have consumed too much spiritual energy. We need to rest right now. Why would we personally do something like cooking? Don't you think that taking him as a slave is a very good choice?" Right. It is indeed a very good choice." The beautiful woman also smiled. The three youths behind her also smiled and said, "Senior brother Gua is truly a good strategist." Soon after, the five of them emitted rays of light that formed a powerful heat that dried their wet clothes. The five of them sat cross-legged around the bonfire and took out some pills from their storage rings. Soon, their bodies glowed with a translucent light, quickly healing their injuries and damaged spirit energy. Not long after, they opened their eyes and started to eat the cooked food on the fire. In the forest, the dark red divine dragon looked displeased. "Brat, why aren't you making a move? Isn't it just the All Beginnings Holy Land? If the two of us go all out, I don't believe that we can't beat the five of them. Don't be rash. Now is not the time. The five of them aren't ordinary disciples of the Holy Land. They must be elites. I'm afraid we don't have absolute confidence in winning. Let's wait." The dark red dragon couldn't do anything about Lin Xian's actions. Moreover, Lin Xian was right. The two of them did not have full confidence. In particular, the aura of the young man in the lead shocked them. Soon, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon killed another dozen or so monster beasts, and also collected a pile of spirit fruits. Lin Xian put away half of the food. Then he took the other half and slowly walked back to the beach. By the time Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon returned, the golden barbecued meat on the fire was already gone. However, the five of them still hadn't eaten their fill. Therefore, they asked Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon to get some more. Lin Xian's expression was calm. He wasn't angry at all. On the other hand, the dark red divine dragon gnashed his teeth and coldly snorted in his heart. "Damn five bastards. Just you wait. When the time comes, this emperor will definitely teach you a lesson." Soon, the corpses of five huge monster beasts were placed on the bonfire again. The five cultivators of the All Beginnings Holy Land sat cross-legged around the bonfire. They didn't leave any space for Lin Xian and the others. In fact, the handsome young man in the lead even said coldly, "You can go to the side and wait. We will call you when we need you." Lin Xian furrowed his brows. However, he still nodded his head. He and the dark red divine dragon went to a distant ancient tree and sat down cross-legged. Then, she looked at the distant Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon. The woman sneered. "Humph. As expected, he's a piece of trash. He does whatever he is told and doesn't even dare to resist. That's only natural. He's just a small loose cultivator. Before our All Beginnings Holy Land, he won't be able to cause any trouble." The several people beside her sneered in disdain. Senior brother Gua, who was the leader, narrowed his eyes. "This brat is quite capable. He doesn't show any fear when facing us. Moreover, from the looks of it, he's concealing his strength." Concealing his strength? The woman was confused. Indeed, from what I've discovered, his strength is much stronger than what he's shown now. He might even be able to contend against a 5-star king. The others were also surprised when they heard this. They hadn't expected Senior Brother Gua to give such a high evaluation of the other party. However, the woman curled her lips. "So what? No matter how strong he is, he won't be able to defeat any one of us." Senior Brother Gua nodded his head. "Indeed. Let him be a slave first. When we don't need him anymore, we'll naturally deal with him." As they chatted, they didn't pay attention to Lin Xian at all. Lin Xian remained expressionless when he heard these words. However, he sneered inwardly. Originally, he didn't have any enmity with the All Beginnings Holy Land, and didn't want to attack these people. However, from the looks of it, these people didn't intend to let him off. He wasn't someone who would allow others to bully him. The reason he hadn't made a move before was because he wanted to preserve his strength. Now that the other party wanted to kill him, he naturally wouldn't sit still and wait for death. It seemed that he had to find an opportunity to make a move. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes as he thought to himself. At this time, the several All Beginnings Holy Land cultivators in front of him started chatting again. However, this time, their topic shifted from Lin Xian to the ancient ruins. The woman complained, "What kind of damned place is this? It's actually so dangerous. Those sea monsters are too terrifying." Indeed, it'd already be pretty good if even a tenth of the people who came in this time could pass through the sea of death. Senior Brother Guo's expression was grave as he spoke in a deep voice. This sea is indeed dangerous. However, what's even more dangerous is that there are actually natives here. If that's the case, it'll be even more difficult for us to obtain treasures. Senior Brother, what kind of place is this ancient ruin? The woman asked. The Oblique Moon Mystic World. It was an extremely famous place during the ancient era. However, for some unknown reason, it was sealed by someone. Until now, it has appeared once again. Originally, I thought that there weren't any living creatures in the ancient ruins. Who would have thought that things would turn out this way? Chapter 1725. That's right. This mystic world is a world of its own. Not only are there people from the ancient era, but there are also extremely ferocious monstrous beasts. We must be careful. We must not fall for their tricks. While eating the golden roasted meat, the group of people quickly chatted with one another. Of course, their conversation also reached Lin Xian's ears. Slanted Moon Mystic World? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. This was not the first time he had heard of this place. The first time was from the natives. The second time was from the people of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Ruffian Dragon. Exactly what sort of place is the Slanted Moon Mystic World? Lin Xian asked through voice transmission. It is an extraordinary place. It is a world of its own. It can be said to be a paradise on earth. Furthermore, a very powerful race lives in this place. However, this place was sealed later on. It is even rumored that it was done by a great emperor. After that, the Slanted Moon Mystic World disappeared. Never would I have expected that it would reappear now. A great emperor? Lin Xian was extremely shocked upon hearing those words. Which great emperor? Who did it? Lin Xian asked again. I don't know. After all, it is only an ancient legend. It might not necessarily be true. The dark red dragon shook his head. On the other side, the golden roasted meat was completely eaten by the 5 people from the All Beginnings Holy Land. This was no ordinary meat. It contained enormous power. Because of that, the 5 of them sat down cross-legged and operated their cultivation techniques. They consumed the energy contained in the roasted meat to recover their cultivation. Half a day later, the 5 of them opened their eyes. Soon after, the leading youth Guo Chuanfei stood up. His eyes were shining brightly. Beside him, the beautiful woman, Wang Yu, also revealed a smile. We've more or less recovered. Let's set off, Guo Chuanfei said in a deep voice. Soon after, the other people also nodded. Among them, the round-faced fatty pointed at Lin Xian and said, Get up and follow us. Okay. Lin Xian nodded slightly. He had a calm expression on his face. However, he had already made up his mind. He was going to take care of these 5 people in this forest. However, he still had to find an opportunity to make his move. These people from the All Beginnings Holy Land naturally didn't know what Lin Xian was thinking. Furthermore, they did not think that a mere rogue cultivator would dare to attack the 5 of them. Therefore, they did not take Lin Xian seriously at all. Instead, they carefully sized up the forest in front of them. The forest ahead was dense and ancient trees towered into the sky. It was a primitive scene. Furthermore, roars could be heard from the dense forest from time to time. Among them, some of the voices were extremely terrifying, bringing with them a monstrous demonic aura. With a single glance, one could tell that they were released by powerful demonic kings. Be careful. This primeval forest is not to be underestimated, Guo Chuanfei said to those behind him. Don't worry, senior brother Guo. Wang Yu and the others nodded. After that, the group set off towards the primeval forest. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon followed at the back. However, they still underestimated this primeval forest. That was because not long after they entered, they discovered an enormous skeleton ahead. There were still remnants of blood and flesh on the skeleton. It was clear that the corpse of this powerful demonic king had just been killed. From the remnant aura on the skeleton, Guo Chuanfei and the others could clearly sense that this was an extremely powerful demonic king. However, it had still been killed. Not even its corpse was left behind. From this, one could imagine that the one who had killed it was an even more terrifying existence. This caused the expressions of the All Beginnings Holy Lands cultivators to become extremely ugly. As for Lin Xian, he was also extremely shocked. It seemed that this primeval forest was much more dangerous than he had imagined. Following that, everyone's eyelids jumped wildly. That was because they discovered enormous skeletons from time to time. Those skeletons were all at the demonic king level and were extremely terrifying. In fact, Lin Xian and the others even discovered that there were enormous footprints around the corpses. It was clear that those footprints were left behind by some extremely terrifying life form. From the looks of it, it seems to be a human. Could it be an ancient giant? Wang Ye's complexion turned slightly pale. Guo Xuanfei's expression was also ugly. He said in a deep voice, "You all pay attention." The three cultivators behind him also nodded their heads. Their palms were somewhat cold. Lin Xian was also secretly circulating his spiritual energy. He was prepared to attack at any moment. However, gradually, the complexions of the All Beginnings Holy Lands cultivators darkened. That was because they discovered that the further they went, the more frequent those enormous footprints became. It was clear that they had entered the lair of a terrifying demonic beast. There was no need to think about it. That terrifying demonic beast was definitely in the vicinity. When they thought of this, they couldn't help but want to flee. Judging from the current situation, that demonic king was definitely incomparably terrifying. It wasn't an existence that they could contend against. You go and scout the way. In the end, the round-faced fatty tossed Lin Xian and the dark red dragon to the front so that they could scout the way. That way, if there was any danger, they would be able to quickly escape. As for the safety of Lin Xian and the dark red dragon, they didn't care about it at all. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon walked at the front. The two of them sneered in their hearts. It would appear that the other party was no longer concealing their evil intentions. Since that was the case, there was nothing much to say. They had to quickly find an opportunity to kill those people. Otherwise, if they really entered that demonic beast's lair, it would be very difficult for the two of them. Gradually the sky darkened. The dense forest in the surroundings also became eerie. It could even be said that the atmosphere was overflowing with monstrous aura. At this time, it was no longer suitable for traveling. The reason for that was because some powerful demonic beasts would appear from time to time during the night. Thus, Guo Chuanfei and the others planned to find a place to rest. Fortunately, there were many mountains in the forest. The few of them chose a decent mountain top and constructed an enormous cave to temporarily rest in. They even set up a spirit formation in the surroundings to prevent the demonic beasts from entering. Guo Chuanfei and the others sat cross-legged in the cave to rest. However, they left Lin Xian and the dark red dragon outside. The way they saw it, the two of them were nothing more than slaves. They were naturally unworthy of living together with them. The dark red dragon gnashed its teeth in anger. It was on the verge of attacking. Lin Xian's expression was also gloomy. However, he quickly sent a voice transmission. Don't be hasty. Find the right time and kill them in one strike. Late at night, the entire area around the cave was gloomy. There was only one bonfire in the cave that flickered uncertainly. Inside the cave, Guo Chuanfei and the others were already sitting cross-legged and cultivating. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon did not cultivate. The two of them acutely sensed that there was an oppressive aura that was slowly condensing. The aura was extremely oppressive. Even Lin Xian felt extremely uncomfortable. Damn it! What's going on? The dark red dragon muttered softly. As a dragon, even he felt a trace of panic. Therefore, the two of them did not dare to cultivate at all. Chapter 1726. Roar. Sure enough, before long, a roar was heard. Like a sudden clap of thunder, it tore through the tranquil night sky. Not only that, but this roar was also too terrifying. Moreover, it was very close to Lin Xian and the others. Thus Lin Xian and the others received a very strong impact. The sound wave tore through the void, carrying with it a powerful monstrous aura that filled the air. Strong winds swept through the world. Terrifying energy surged forth and collided with the surrounding formations. Buzz! Buzz! The formations in the surroundings instantly lit up to resist the attack. However, they were unable to block it. Like paper, they were instantly torn apart. Whoosh! Without the defenses of the formations, the berserk energy instantly attacked Lin Xian and the others. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon quickly retreated. At the same time, their bodies lit up with light as they prepared to defend themselves. However, the two of them did not use their full strength. This was because they could not reveal their true strength before the All Beginnings Holy Lands cultivators. Otherwise, they would be in a very passive position in the battle. Thus, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon pretended to lose their heads out of fear and quickly retreated to the entrance of the cave. At this time, 5 figures instantly appeared in the cave like bolts of lightning. Their bodies shone with light and emitted powerful auras that formed an energy barrier that resisted the surrounding wind energy. What the hell is this? The 5 of them looked at their surroundings with unsightly expressions. Senior brother. The beautiful woman, Wang Yu, also had a pale complexion. Guo Xuanfei's expression was grave. His eyes were like lightning as they pierced through the void and looked ahead. In the distance, the world was in turmoil. Boundless spiritual energy surged and monstrous aura soared into the sky. It was as if a peerless beast had been born. Moreover, countless dark clouds had gathered in the sky at an unknown time. They were pitch black like 100,000 mountains. Boom! Suddenly, a silver lightning bolt as thick as a water bucket struck down from the dark clouds. That lightning bolt was extremely terrifying. It was like a silver dragon that roared as it descended, instantly illuminating the entire sky. At the same time, it also illuminated the beast below. Lin Xian and the others quickly looked over. Then, they sucked in a breath of cold air. Ahead of them, there was a figure the size of a small mountain. It was a golden divine ape with 6 arms. At this moment it was roaring toward the sky. He let out a roar that was as loud as a flash flood. The terrifying sound waves were like a tidal wave, accompanied by the 6 arms waving in the air, resisting the silver lightning falling from the sky. Boom! This scene was simply too terrifying. Even Guo Xuanfei and the other martial artists from the All Beginnings Holy Land were shocked. Lin Xian was also shocked. He did not expect that the fierce beast nearby was actually a 6-armed divine ape. This was a type of ancient mutated beast. It was extremely terrifying. However, he wasn't in the mood to care about this at the moment. This was because Lin Xian realized that this was the perfect opportunity to strike. Therefore, in the next moment, without any hesitation, he quickly sent a voice transmission to the dark red divine dragon. Then all the energy in his body instantly erupted. Puff! In an instant, he pulled out the 9 Hell Devil sword and drew a black sword light in the air, quickly stabbing towards Guo Xuanfei. On the other side, the dark red divine dragon waved its claws and enveloped the other 3 martial artists. Puff! Lin Xian didn't hold back at all. This sword strike was too powerful, and it was so sudden that Guo Xuanfei didn't expect it at all. An ant in his eyes actually dared to attack him. Therefore, he hadn't been on guard before. Moreover, the 6-armed divine ape in front of him was contending against the 9 heavens divine lightning, erupting with an incomparably terrifying energy that swept out in all directions. As a result, he didn't pay attention to his surroundings. There was only a ball of energy around his body that was resisting the surrounding storm. However, this ball of energy seemed incomparably weak at this moment. In an instant, the ball of energy was broken apart by the 9 Hell Devil sword. Then the sharp edge of the sword stabbed into his back. Puff! Blood sprayed out. However, as a martial artist from the All Beginnings Holy Land, Guo Chuanfei was exceptionally strong. Therefore, at the final moment, he still discovered that something was amiss. In that moment of crisis, he forcefully moved his body to the side, narrowly dodging the attack that was aimed at his vitals. However, the sword still managed to pierce through him. After Lin Xian succeeded, he didn't stop. An incomparably terrifying and berserk aura erupted from his body. His left fist was like a black dragon as it ruthlessly smashed towards his opponent. "You're courting death." Guo Chuanfei was furious. He endured the intense pain and frantically turned around. He didn't expect that an ant would actually dare to attack him. However, he didn't have time to think about it. That was because a black fist carrying the shadow of a black dragon quickly smashed into his body. Bang! In the next instant he was sent flying. Most of the bones in his body were broken. On the other side, the sound of an intense collision could be heard. It turned out that the claws of the Crimson Divine Dragon had ruthlessly smashed into the bodies of 3 other martial artists. In an instant, an earth-shaking tremor was created. However, in such a berserk environment, this tremor was insignificant. The 3 martial artists were also sent flying. 2 of them were injured, and the last one was pierced through by the Crimson Divine Dragon's claws. What? When the woman, Wang Yu, saw this scene, she was stunned. She didn't expect that the 2 of them would dare to attack. Moreover, their sneak attack had succeeded. Her senior brother and her companions were severely injured in an instant. "Brett, you are courting death." The expressions of the other 2 martial artists turned sinister. As for Guo Chuanfei, his entire body was covered in blood. He seemed like a demon, as he emitted an incomparably terrifying killing intent. "You dare to attack me?" Even now, he didn't dare to believe that the other party would dare to attack him. How could an insignificant loose cultivator dare to attack the people of the All Beginnings Holy Land? However, the other party had really attacked him. Not only that, but his sneak attack had succeeded. Not only had the other party seriously injured him, but he had also killed a martial artist. Humph. So what if I attack you? Don't think that I don't know what you are thinking. Didn't you want to kill the 2 of us? It's just that the 2 of us attacked first. Lin Xian didn't feel the slightest bit guilty. He had already sensed the sinister intentions of these 5 people. Thus, he naturally wouldn't show any mercy when he attacked. Kill. Guo Chuanfei didn't speak any nonsense. Right now, the only way to survive was to kill the other party. Thus, he immediately circulated his cultivation technique and rapidly healed his wounds. Then he swallowed some healing pills. Now that his life was at stake, he couldn't care less about holding back. In the next instant, an incomparably terrifying radiance erupted from his body. Then, like a demon, he charged at Lin Xian. On the other side, Wang Yu and the other 2 disciples also roared and charged at Lin Xian and the Crimson Divine Dragon. "Brat, you dare to injure my senior brother? Die for me!" Wang Yu shouted. Her entire face was filled with killing intent. Her entire body shone brightly as she held a sword in her hand. Then, she quickly stabbed it at Lin Xian. This sword was like a flood dragon soaring out of the water. It was incomparably terrifying. Lin Xian coldly snorted. He didn't dodge at all. Instead, he waved the 9 nether demonic sword in his hand and slashed forward. Pung! The 2 swords collided, shaking heaven and earth. However, the sword in Wang Ye's hand was directly cut in half. What? This is impossible. Wang Yu was stunned. She didn't expect the demonic sword in her opponent's hand to be so sharp. Chapter 1727. Wang Yu was dumbfounded. She did not expect the demonic sword in her opponent's hand to be so sharp. But in the next moment she screamed. That was because the 9 underworld demonic sword did not stop. Instead, it pierced toward her with countless sharp sword energies. Primeval Chaos Shield. At this critical moment, Wang Yu shouted. Light blossomed from her body, forming a simple shield of light in front of her. This was indeed a lost technique. However, she could not block it at all. Firstly, Lin Xian's strength had completely surpassed hers. Secondly, Lin Xian was not holding back at all. Wang Yu could not contend against such a battle prowess. Therefore, in the next moment, the shield of light shattered. Not only that, but Wang Yu was also pierced by the sword. The terrifying sword energies carried her body and nailed her to the mountain peak on the opposite side. Junior sister. Seeing this scene, Guo Chuanfei roared crazily. He did not hold back and charged toward Lin Xian. On the other side, the two All Beginnings Holy Lands cultivators were blocked by the dark red divine dragon. Guo Xuanfei's expression was malevolent and murderous. He spread open his 5 fingers, and 5 divine rainbows flew out from his fingertips. The void was instantly pierced through. The 5 divine rainbows emitted powerful killing intent as they rushed toward Lin Xian. These divine rainbows were comparable to divine weapons. However, Lin Xian snorted disdainfully. If you were in your peak condition, you might be able to fight against me. But now you are seriously injured. You are no match for me. As he spoke, he waved the 9 underworld demonic sword. The black demonic sword emitted a jet black radiance. It looked like a sword from hell, and was extremely terrifying. It contained an astonishing amount of power. Offensive saint technique. At this moment, Lin Xian was displaying it to the extreme. Its battle prowess was incomparably terrifying. Therefore, with a single sword strike, he was able to sever the 5 divine rainbows. Not only that, but the terrifying sword light also enveloped Guo Chuanfei. Being enveloped by the black sword light, Guo Chuanfei felt his hair stand on end. This was too shocking. His opponent was only an ant. Yet he actually possessed this kind of battle prowess. This surprised him greatly. From the looks of it, even if his opponent did not launch a sneak attack, and he was not seriously injured, this battle would still be extremely dangerous. Thinking of this, Guo Xuanfei's face darkened. He knew that he had to attack with all his might. He couldn't let the other party escape. Otherwise, it would be an endless disaster. Therefore, in the next moment, he endured the pain and pushed his strength to the limit. Boom! All the bones in his body emitted crackling sounds as they were repaired in an instant. Clearly, Guo Chuanfei had used some kind of secret technique. However, the sword wound on his body had not completely healed. Because this was the power of the great dragon sword spirit, it was abnormally sharp, and no one could heal it in a short period of time. However, Guo Chuanfei couldn't care less about that. Even though he was still bleeding, he had to attack with all his might. A palm stretched out. The light on it was like a scorching sun as it pressed towards the void. Boom! Immediately, the void trembled and emitted a boundless amount of chaotic qi. It formed a wanton radiance that was incomparably hazy and laid horizontally in front of him. Clang! Clang! The black sword qi that filled the sky collided with the chaotic qi, creating an earth-shattering sound. This chaotic qi was very impressive. It did not immediately shatter. This was a powerful technique of the All Beginnings Holy Land. The All Beginnings Holy Land. Just from its name, one could tell that it was very domineering. The fact that it dared to use the word, All Beginnings, was enough to prove its strength. Mr. Primal Chaos had yet to appear. Thus the All Beginnings Holy Land cultivated the Primal Chaos technique. This cultivation technique was incomparably mysterious and abnormally powerful. Now that Guo Chuanfei used it, it possessed a different kind of might. Seeing that he had blocked the black sword qi, Guo Chuanfei breathed out a sigh of relief. Then, he waved his hands and sent out even more chaotic qi. The chaotic qi formed a simple and unadorned picture scroll that revolved around him. Brat, die for me! This simple and unadorned picture scroll emitted the power of a domain. It was extremely terrifying. In an instant, it enveloped the entire space. Not only that, but countless strands of chaotic qi also fell down. They turned into sharp rays of light that pierced towards Lin Xian. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian frowned and coldly snorted. He used Heavenly Dragon 8 steps. His entire body was like a flickering shadow as he rapidly dodged. Humph! It's useless. You can't dodge my chaotic qi. Guo Chuanfei sneered. This was because the chaotic qi had combined with his domain to form a powerful technique. His opponent was just a small loose cultivator. How could he possibly block it? Sure enough, The chaotic qi was like a poisonous snake that chased after him. It pierced through Lin Xian's afterimages one after another. As for Lin Xian, he coldly snorted when he heard his opponent's words. An arrow at the end of its flight. You can't even withstand a single blow. Watch how I break you. In the next instant he stopped dodging. A blue domain rapidly appeared around his body, emitting a monstrous aura. As for the 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand, it shone with boundless radiance. Boom! With a slash of his sword, the void in all directions was slashed open by him. This black sword chi was like a black nether river. As it quickly slashed forward, the sword chi crisscrossed, and a terrifying killing intent filled the wilderness. Guo Chuanfei felt a chill in his heart when he sensed the sharpness of this sword chi. He didn't dare to be careless. He hurriedly recalled the chaotic chi and used it to block in front of him. Clang! In the next moment, the black sword chi slashed on the chaotic chi. However, what made Guo Xuanfei's scalp go numb was that his chaotic chi couldn't block it at all, and was directly cut in half. No! Guo Chuanfei vomited blood and flew backward. He really didn't dare to imagine that his opponent's combat strength was actually so powerful. That was his ultimate move, but it was actually split apart by a single sword strike. He had to admit that it was indeed terrifying. However, Lin Xian didn't stop at all. He carried the dragon sword domain and instantly chased after him like a flash of light. He knew that his opponent was a terrifying opponent. Moreover, the reason why he was able to injure his opponent so quickly was because he had taken him by surprise. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so easy to defeat his opponent. Because without mentioning anything else, just the chaotic qi alone was enough to give him a headache. Therefore, he wouldn't let go of this opportunity. Whoosh! In the next moment, his figure flashed like lightning and appeared in front of Guo Chuanfei. The sword light on his body soared into the sky. Lin Xian was like a killing god at all times. Meanwhile, Guo Chuanfei was lying on the ground. His hair was disheveled, and his body was covered in blood. In a sorry state, he was in a sorry state. Previously, he was high and mighty like an emperor, mercilessly commanding Lin Xian, and not taking him seriously at all. However, he didn't expect that in just one day, the status of both sides had undergone a tremendous change. The powerful combat strength displayed by his opponent shocked him. As for himself, he was seriously injured and was about to be killed. Damn it, who are you? Guo Chuanfei stared at Lin Xian and roared crazily. That was because he really couldn't believe that a small itinerant cultivator could have such powerful combat strength. Lin Xian snorted coldly. It doesn't matter who I am. What matters is that everything is over. Chapter 1728. Lin Xian coldly snorted. Who I am isn't important. What's important is that everything is over. The 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand emitted an ice-cold radiance as it pierced forward. Ha 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 ha. You want to kill me, Guo Chuanfei? Dream on. Brat, let's perish together. As Guo Chuanfei spoke, a crazed expression appeared on his face. Soon after, the radiance on his body grew brighter and brighter as the primal chaos picture wrapped around his body. Not good. Upon seeing this scene, Lin Xian's pupil shrank. He rapidly retreated as he executed Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps to the limit. At the same time, the Gale War boots on his feet started to shine brightly. Whoosh! Like a sword ray, he rapidly retreated. On the other side, the dark red dragon's palm pierced through a disciple of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Then he also rapidly retreated. At this moment, the Gale cloak on his body shone with boundless radiance. He was like a red lightning bolt. As for the other surviving All Beginnings Holy Land disciple, he couldn't care less about him. That was because Guo Chuanfei had self-detonated. The self-detonation of a king, a 5-star king at that, was extremely terrifying. For a time, an incomparably terrifying explosion of energy swept out in all directions. Although Guo Chuanfei was only a 5-star king, he was still a cultivator of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Moreover, he was an elite. His battle power was even more terrifying than ordinary 6-star kings. Therefore, the might of the explosion was extremely shocking. No. The other surviving All Beginnings Holy Land disciple roared crazily when he saw this scene. He immediately fled into the distance. However, he wasn't fast enough. In an instant, he was engulfed by the terrifying energy storm. Although Lin Xian and the dark red dragon had grasped Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps and were extremely fast, they were still affected by the energy storm. However, they were still struck by the energy storm. The two of them quickly activated their king domains to resist the energy storm. The two of them were like sailboats in a storm that could capsize at any moment. However, they managed to resist it in the end. Whoosh! Looking at the pitch-black pit in the forest before him, Lin Xian's complexion became extremely unsightly. He had been too careless this time. Previously, he had killed the disciples of the All Beginnings Holy Land. He had thought that the disciples of the All Beginnings Holy Land weren't that strong. But now, it seemed that this was not the case. Most likely, the hierarchy within the Holy Land was even more detailed than the Pill sect. The disciples of the Holy Land he had killed before were probably the most ordinary disciples. Even so, he was still more powerful than the top geniuses of the alchemy sect and the other 2 subsidiary sections. And someone like Guo Chuanfei should be one of the more powerful ones in the Holy Land. Their strength was incomparably terrifying. They could even contend against ordinary 6-star kings. Therefore, such people had to be guarded against. Guo Chuanfei's self-destruction created a terrifying explosion of energy that affected Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon. Therefore, the two of them quickly flew away from this area. They came to a safe place, sat down cross-legged, and quickly recovered their strength. Lin Xian didn't even hesitate to consume elixirs and supreme-grade substandard divine crystals, because his heart was beating wildly, and he had an extremely bad premonition. Sure enough, it didn't take long for a murderous aura to come from the rear left. It turned into a cross-shaped sword wave and rushed over quickly. Boom! Lin Xian waved his hand, releasing a large amount of energy that collided with the killing intent. Then, he suddenly turned around and looked behind him. In the forest behind him, a figure quickly appeared. Her figure was enchanting and had a seductive aura that made one's blood boil. "It's you!" When Lin Xian saw the other party, he immediately frowned. This woman was none other than the half-demon woman who had sneak-attacked him before. He didn't expect her to appear again now. Moreover, the timing was too good. It was right after he had a great battle with someone. Could it be that she had been following him? Thinking of this, Lin Xian's face darkened. The longevity art in his body quickly circulated, digesting the energy of the healing elixirs. "That's right, it's me," the beautiful woman sneered. "I already said that I would come back for you. Why are you looking for me? Could it be that you can't bear to part with me?" The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up slightly, but he secretly sped up his absorption and recovery. "Indeed, I can't bear to part with you. Your vitality is so strong, and you are the best choice for a cauldron. If I can absorb your energy, my cultivation will definitely rise to another level. Moreover, you dared to kill my Demon King Palace's people. No matter what, I can't let you go. Why bother?" Lin Xian laughed. "Why don't you follow me and leave the Demon King Palace? I'll let you live a carefree life. You want me to leave the Demon King Palace with just you? What a joke." The half-demon woman sneered. "You don't know the Demon King Palace's strength at all. Moreover, you have underestimated me." The half-demon woman stared coldly at Lin Xian. "All right, let's cut the crap. Are you going to obediently surrender? Or do you want me to break your 4 limbs and drag you back? You sure talk big. Don't tell me you think you've got me." Lin Xian snorted, but he didn't make a move. The half-demon woman, Zhao Tianxia, walked over step by step. "Kid, don't struggle. I know you are recovering your strength, but it's useless. I saw everything that happened just now. After being hit by that kind of energy, you won't be able to recover in a short time. Even if you try to stall for time now, it's useless." Indeed, she was hiding in the dark and saw the previous scene. When she saw Lin Xian being hit by the explosion, she decided to make a move. If it was an ordinary person, she wouldn't have done anything wrong. After all, when a cultivator was injured, their combat strength would be greatly reduced. Unfortunately, she encountered Lin Xian this time. She didn't know how powerful Lin Xian's art of longevity was. Lin Xian watched as the other party slowly walked over. He didn't move. However, he secretly mobilized the energy in his body to prepare the Thunder Assistant. Sure enough, when the other party was 10 meters away from Lin Xian's body suddenly erupted with terrifying energy. His fists danced as the apocalyptic black dragon fist rushed out. The powerful energy transformed into 2 black dragons, surging and roaring. What? The half-demon woman Zhao Tianxia narrowed her eyes. She didn't expect the other party to be able to display such strength despite being injured. However, since she had decided to make a move, why would she run away? With a shout, light bloomed from her body, and a domain quickly appeared behind her. The 5 silver scorpion tails were like silver spears. They were extremely sharp as they pierced through the void and flew forward. Boom, boom, boom. The void was pierced through in an instant. A terrifying silver light, like the Milky Way, wrapped around the 2 black dragons. Boom! The scales on the silver scorpion tails flickered, releasing a cold light that instantly killed the 2 black dragons. Chapter 1729. A terrifying killing intent shook the world. Lin Xian coldly snorted. Facing the 5 silver tails, he had no fear at all. The apocalyptic black dragon fists were constantly swung around. His fists had turned into 2 black dragons, spiraling in the void and surging forward. They unleashed earth-shattering energy. Scorpio, reappear! On the other side, Zhao Tianxia also shouted, and the silver domain behind her shone even brighter. Then, a huge silver body appeared in the void. It was a huge scorpion, its entire body silver, and emitting a cold light. Waves of energy were emitted from its body, shaking the entire space. This scene was too terrifying. It was as if a real ancient demon beast had crossed time and space and appeared in the sky. In the next moment, the enormous silver body swayed, and the terrifying scorpion tail and 2 silver pincers rapidly descended. Boom, boom, boom. Silver light crisscrossed, illuminating the entire space and colliding with the black fist shadows. This scene was too terrifying, as if 10,000 mountains were colliding in the sky. Forests collapsed, the earth caved in, and terrifying cracks appeared in the void. In the end, Lin Xian let out a long cry and unleashed his ultimate technique. 2 pitch-black dragon claws appeared on his palms, and he waved them with force. Suddenly, the entire space split open. The silver light that filled the sky disappeared. Damn brat, you actually have such powerful strength. On the other side, Zhao Tianxi's face was solemn. Unexpected, it was too unexpected. She had expected the other party to be severely injured and unable to exert much strength. But now, it seemed that this was not the case. Her opponent's strength was too strong. There was no difference at all from before he was injured. That berserk and destructive aura made her extremely fearful. But how was this possible? No one could withstand that kind of impact, but fortunately he was unharmed. Therefore, she concluded that Lin Xian must have been injured. But how could he still display such terrifying strength when he was injured? Zhao Tianxia could not understand at all. But in the end she coldly snorted, "Kid, I don't know what secret technique you used to forcibly recover your strength. But thinking about it, this secret technique won't last for long. Therefore, the final victor will be me. As for you, you will become my slave and be sucked dry by me." On the other side, Lin Xian's expression was solemn. Indeed, the explosion just now had injured him. However, his secret art of long life was heaven-defying. That ferocious recovery ability of his had already healed more than half of his injuries. However, he did not let his guard down. That was because the half-demon woman was also extraordinarily powerful. She was probably not any weaker than Guochuanfei, especially when the other party had a group of bloodlines. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to go all out again. The next moment, a green light flashed behind him, and the dragon sword domain quickly appeared. A terrifying aura filled the air as Sword Chi soared into the sky. Even the void couldn't withstand it. A king's domain? Looks like you want to fight with your life on the line. My guess was right. Your secret technique won't last for long. On the other side, a cold smile appeared on Zhao Tianxi's face. Lin Xian snorted coldly when he heard the other party's words. Naturally, it wasn't that the secret technique's time was up, but that he didn't want to waste time, and wanted to finish off the other party quickly. However, since the other party had misunderstood, then so be it. He wouldn't explain. As the energy in his body surged, the dragon sword domain around him became even more resplendent. There was even a low dragon roar. On the other side, Zhao Tianxia also let out a delicate cry as a silver light flashed behind her. The silver domain shone brightly, and within it was an ancient sky scorpion. The silver sky scorpion carried an incomparably terrifying aura. It was like a silver mountain that crushed the void. This scene was too terrifying. The silver sky scorpion carried the bloodline of the demon race, and had an unparalleled pressure. This undoubtedly made Zhao Tianxi's king's domain even more powerful. Seeing the other party's powerful domain, Lin Xian's expression turned solemn. However, in the next moment he took a step forward. Suddenly, tens of thousands of sword qi vibrated together, and let out a cry. The terrifying sword qi soared into the sky with unparalleled power. Then, Lin Xian activated the dragon sword domain and charged forward. Boom! 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 The entire void collapsed. The dragon sword domain and the sky scorpion's silver domain collided, creating a sound like a tsunami. Endless light burst forth as terrifying energy whistled through the air, filling every inch of the void. The entire forest was shaking, and there were even roars of demon beasts in the distance. Obviously, the battle between the two had alarmed the demon kings here. After another fierce collision, the two figures quickly retreated and pulled apart the distance between them. Lin Xian's figure was tall and straight, and his face was sharp like a knife. He looked like a god of death. Sword qi surrounded his body, and it was incomparably resplendent. On the other side, Zhao Tianxia also appeared in the void. Behind her, a silver king's domain appeared. She stood on the sky scorpion's shadow. As expected of the cauldron I chose. You're indeed powerful. Your vitality has even surpassed the average disciple of the sacred land. Obediently become my cauldron, and I can spare your life. Spare my life? Lin Xian snorted. You talk big. Worry about your own safety first. You think you can kill me? Opposite him, Zhao Tianxia sneered. I think your secret technique won't last for long. It will probably disappear soon. At that time, I'd like to see how stubborn you are. Zhao Tianxia snorted and attacked again. The battle began again. The two of them fought fiercely, but gradually, Zhao Tianxia started to frown. Because she realized that something was wrong. After such a long time, even if there was a secret technique, its effect should have disappeared. However, not only did the other party's combat strength not weaken, it was getting stronger and stronger. She couldn't believe it at all. Damn it! Impossible! Why is your combat strength still getting stronger? Shouldn't it weaken? Ignorant. Lin Xian snorted and didn't answer. He waved the 9 darkness demonic sword and swept it forward. Sword qi swept out like a giant dragon, tearing the sky apart. Damn it! Impossible! This is impossible! Zhao Tianxia frantically blocked. Didn't you use a secret technique? She finally lost her composure. After so many moves, she still couldn't take down the other party, and she was gradually being suppressed. If this continued, she might not be his opponent at all. At this moment Lin Xian shouted. Soon after, 3 figures rushed out of his dragon sword domain. Chapter 1730. In the sky Lin Xian roared. Soon after, 3 figures rushed out of his dragon sword domain. Every illusory figure was incomparably resplendent, and carried with it a shocking sword qi. Sword god phantoms. This was Lin Xian's 6th god sword technique. He could already condense 3 sword phantoms. These 3 sword phantoms quickly rushed out, and stood in 3 different directions. Together with Lin Xian, they suppressed the entire void. A special domain appeared and trapped Zhao Tianxia within. In the next moment, Lin Xian roared, and attacked together with the 3 sword god phantoms. Terrifying sword qi swept out, and instantly covered the entire void. This scene was simply too terrifying. The space was instantly blasted apart. As for Zhao Tianxia, he was instantly enveloped by sword qi that filled the sky. Bang bang bang. In an instant, Zhao Tianxia was beaten back. His domain had been suppressed, and had even become much dimmer. Not only that, when the sword qi slashed his domain, it immediately caused his qi and blood to churn. Not long after, he vomited blood and was injured. Damn it! These are clones. Zhao Tianxia looked at the sky with a shocked expression. How can clones be so powerful? She really couldn't understand. That was because the three sword god phantoms were simply too powerful. Each of them shone brightly with monstrous battle intent. Their terrifying battle strength was like a vast ocean with no end. It seemed that they were not weaker than the main body. Seeing this scene, Zhao Tianxi's expression was abnormally ugly. She already couldn't beat Lin Xian alone. Now that there were 3 more clones, it was even more impossible for her to be a match for him. Moreover, her opponent didn't seem to be exhausted at all. This made her even more terrified. Therefore, at this moment she didn't dare to fight him. Instead, she was thinking about how to escape, because if they continued fighting, she would definitely lose. Therefore, she carried the silver domain and charged around, wanting to leave this space. You want to leave? Lin Xian sneered. Don't you think it's too late? He roared, and the energy in his body quickly surged. His battle strength was even higher. 3 sword god phantoms quickly rushed forward and surrounded Zhao Tianxia. As for Lin Xian's body, it was shining brightly. He brandished the apocalyptic black dragon fist and unleashed a terrifying fist technique. The world-destroying black dragon scroll was incomparably violent and unstoppable. At this moment in Lin Xian's hands, it was even more ferocious. With a punch, the sky was filled with the shadows of dragons. Each dragon shadow was entwined with incomparably terrifying sword qi. They crushed the void and roared abnormally as they charged towards Zhao Tianxia. Peng! In the next moment, there was an earth-shattering tremor, followed by a blood-curdling scream. Blood spurted out as half of Tianxi's body was smashed. However, she did not die. Instead, she quickly retreated. A ball of red light appeared on her body. It was her demonic bloodline. In the next moment, she ignited the demonic bloodline in her body and erupted with unparalleled power. At the same time, the ancient scorpion in the king's domain opened its eyes. Suddenly, an incomparably terrifying aura spread out. The ancient sky scorpion phantom shone with boundless light. A part of it enveloped Zhao Tianxia, while the other part turned into a silver longsword and slashed forward. In an instant, a crack was torn in the void. The silver light rolled up and carried Zhao Tianxia away into the distance. Seeing this, Lin Xian coldly snorted and activated the dragon sword domain. Immediately, countless sword lights rushed out and turned into rainbows as they quickly chased after Zhao Tianxia. However, that silver light was too strange. It had awakened some kind of ancient bloodline and was incomparably terrifying. In an instant, she had escaped without a trace. She actually ran away? Lin Xian frowned when he saw this scene. After thinking for a long time, he did not chase after her. First of all, she definitely had some secret techniques in her hands. It would not be easy to kill her. Moreover, the continuous battles had consumed too much of his strength. Right now, he did not have much strength left in his body. Therefore, he should focus on recovering. After all, he still did not know how long he would have to stay in this mystic world. Therefore, in the next moment, she did not hesitate, and her figure flashed and left this place. In a dense forest, the dark red divine dragon had set up a powerful array to isolate the surroundings. In front of it, Lin Xian sat cross-legged. Beside him, there were 6 pieces of supreme-grade secondary crystals, arranged into a small spirit-gathering array. Meanwhile, he was operating the longevity art with all his might to quickly absorb the energy. Rays of resplendent light circled around his body like the rays of the sun. This energy quickly repaired his body and replenished Lin Xian's spirit energy at the same time. Not only that, Lin Xian's longevity art was operating faster and faster, and even began to absorb the spirit energy in the surrounding space. This was simply too inconceivable. One had to know that this space was a world of its own, and it was very difficult for outsiders to absorb spirit energy. Therefore, those foreign cultivators would crazily collect other people's storage rings. They wanted to obtain enough energy to maintain their combat strength. Now Lin Xian could actually absorb the surrounding spirit energy. Moreover, the speed was much faster than before. It had to be said that this was really shocking. Lin Xian seemed to have noticed this as well, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. In the next moment, he operated the longevity art with all his might, and the spirit energy from all directions quickly gathered towards him. Gradually, it formed an energy storm that enveloped him. With this energy storm, Lin Xian's recovery speed was extremely fast. Not long after, he was restored to his peak state. Not only that, he absorbed with all his might and cultivated. However, after a while, the spirit energy storm quickly disappeared. Lin Xian opened his eyes as well, feeling as if he hadn't had enough. Then he revealed a puzzled look. What's going on? He didn't stop cultivating, but the spirit chi was quickly receding, which surprised him. Beside him, the dark red divine dragon said, "This should be a protective technique to prevent people from consuming too much energy in the mystic world." Then, he looked at Lin Xian with a face full of surprise. "Boy, you're really surprising. You can actually absorb the energy here." To be honest, even the dark red divine dragon could not do this. Lin Xian smiled and said, "This is all thanks to the longevity art. This technique is really amazing." Indeed, the longevity art was extremely mysterious, and it allowed Lin Xian to have a strong recovery ability. Not only that, his spirit energy was much stronger than cultivators of the same level. Now he could even absorb the energy in the tilted moon mystic world. Although Lin Xian did not know where the ultimate limit of the longevity art was, being able to absorb the energy here was undoubtedly good news. This gave him an even bigger trump card. When the time came for a battle, he would not have to worry too much. Without any worries for the time being, Lin Xian was completely at ease. He planned to carefully explore this primeval forest. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.